Next is KSL News Radio,
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. Power is back on for most people in Layton after a car crash took out 3 power poles last evening near the intersection of Gentile and Fairfield. Witnesses say the car looked like it was going 90 miles an hour and then it flipped. Sheldon Williams was across the street, heard the wreck, and then rushed to the car.
I didn't really know what I was doing at that point because I was just so scared for the guy. He was just shaking. The car was on fire, by the way. The car was actually on fire. I could see the smoke.
He says he found a pocket knife and used it to cut the man's seatbelt and get him out. First responders arrived shortly after. We're still waiting to get an update on the condition of the driver and what led up to the crash. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The odds that the U.S. economy will slip into a recession this year currently stand at between 30 and 50%. ABC's Jim Ryan says financial planners are urging their clients to be ready.
Personal finance site WalletHub estimates that 1 in 5 Americans have no savings account reserved for emergencies, a car breakdown, a malfunctioning appliance, an unexpected medical bill. Putting just $20 away in a savings account every week would create a $1,000 buffer after a year.
Financial planners say the average American family should have an emergency fund of about $35,000 to cover 6 months' housing, utilities, food, medical care, and car payments. Your money at this moment, the Dow's actually down 140 points, 0.33% today so far at 42,652. Coming up, we've got emergency traffic on the 21st South Freeway. Traffic and weather together is next. KSL News Time, 9:01.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
This is Christian Staples with Arctic Spas. It is time for our annual spring clearance sale at Arctic Spas. Tons of hot tubs, swim spas, all-weather pools, saunas, and cold tubs all on sale at up to $7,500 off. Yes, up to $7,500 off. Just in time for the summer fun to begin. Plus, we have a few models left over from last year, like an Arctic Spa Polaris, a 7-foot by 7-foot with 40 massaging jets, 2 pumps, ozone water purification, UV water purification, multicolored LED lights, and a waterfall, now discounted to $89.95. Swim spas starting out at $19,995. This brings a pool to your backyard all year long, but especially for the family fun this summer. Comfort and convenience is on sale with our automated saltwater system. Or save even more with almost new refurbished Arctic Spas from years past. Start out online at arcticspasutah.com to pick out your favorite spa. Then stop by one of our 3 Arctic Spa stores covering all of Utah: Salt Lake, American Fork, and St. George. Arctic Spas, the only spa built for Utah's harsh climate.
Hey, this is Dan, the laptop man from PC Laptops. Let me tell you an amazing story. Last week, a customer came in. They were a creative director for an agency, and they were frustrated that their old, slow computer wasn't processing their files quick enough. He had a big project due and could not afford any delays. Well, we hooked him up with one of our new, powerful 2025 desktops for only $999, and he was able to complete his project with ease. Take one home today. The new 2025 S1 desktop or SM3 laptop for only $999. You heard that right, $999. You get a blazing fast processor, 16 gigs of RAM, and over a terabyte of blazing storage for $999. What else do you get? Lifetime service warranty, and we have 12 months special financing on approved credit. Hurry in right now because supplies are limited, because at PC Laptops, we love you. Just check us out at PCLaptops.com. $999, PCLaptops.com.
Pantheon Clinical Research is conducting a chronic migraine clinical trial. Located just minutes from Salt Lake City with plenty of free parking, this study is open to children ages 12 to 17 who suffer from chronic migraines. To pre-qualify, your child must have 8 or more migraine attacks each month and at least 15 headache days. They should also currently be taking or have taken oral medication for migraine relief. All study-related visits, tests, and medications will be provided at no cost. Plus, reimbursement for study-related travel may also be available. As a parent, it's never easy to watch your child suffer. This is your chance to help them find relief. For more information, call Pantheon Clinical Research at 385-281-0550. That's Pantheon Clinical Research, 385-281-0550. or visit us online at pantheonclinical.com. Again, that's 385-281-0550 or go to pantheonclinical.com.
Emergency traffic on KSL News Radio brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Heather Kelly.
Well, this is for drivers on the 201 freeway eastbound. You're going to be at a crawl between Mountain View Corridor and 900 West. It was all due to a crash that was in main flow 201 freeway. Then they stopped all the lanes of travel to move it over to the exit ramp at 900 West. And the right lane of that exit ramp from the 201 freeway remains blocked, so traffic's still very slow in that stretch. You also have a little bit of crowding still eastbound I-84 through Mountain Green. The freeway had been closed for about 30 minutes to wrangle a cow off the freeway that was just running freely. That was eastbound through Mountain Green. Otherwise, you've got a fairly good drive on the rest of the roads across the Wasatch Front. The Memorial Day Serta mattress sale is going on now at Two Brothers Mattress. Save up to $400 on Serta mattresses. Visit one of our 5 stores or twobrothersmattress.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, the rain has gone away mostly today, and it'll be partly sunny in the morning. Highs will reach the upper 70s. Right now, it's 53 degrees and mostly cloudy in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories. On KSL News Radio, Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top local story.
Well, let's just get right into it. The most affordable cities to buy a home in this country, and no surprise, Salt Lake City does not land at the top of this new list that just dropped this morning. So we're going to find out, where does Salt Lake City sit on this list of 300 cities across the United States, and what cities did make the top of the list. I'll give you a hint. It's nowhere near Salt Lake City. In fact, we're going to have to pack our bags in the U-Haul and head to Flint, Michigan. I know we've all wanted to live in Flint, Michigan at one point or another, right? I mean, it doesn't even come to mind for me when I think about, where else would I want to live if not Salt Lake City? Flint, Michigan has the most affordable homes to buy. The average home value in Flint, Michigan, according to Zillow, right now is where home prices were in the Salt Lake City area when I moved here in the 1990s. The average home is at $63,000 in Flint, Michigan. And I remember when I was out looking for homes, when I first moved here in 1990, I thought, maybe I'll buy a home. I was in way over my head and 23 years old at the time, but I was like, maybe I'll buy a home. They were right in the $50,000 to $60,000 range back then. Detroit, Michigan is next, so just a little bit outside of Flint, Michigan at $78,000. And then we go over to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where the home values there are coming in at close to $250,000. So in just a few minutes, we're going to find out where Salt Lake City sits on this list and how these other cities ended up so far up the list. And then also ask our expert, what are the things that we need to consider before we pack those bags and move to places like Flint? But Caitlin Johnston, our producer here on the show, you want to be a first-time home buyer. You have been talking about this for so long, and so you're looking at places. I gave you an assignment this morning, and you dove right in. I said, look at the top cities on this list. So you looked at Flint, you looked at Pittsburgh, and then the fourth city on this list, which isn't too far away from the city I grew up in, Surprise, Arizona, which surprised me that it landed on the list, because I wanted to know, from a first-time home buyer's perspective, what are you seeing in these cities that you could afford to buy, and would you want to move there?
Well, I don't know if I'd want to move there. I've never been to any of these cities.
You've never been to Flint?
No, but as soon as I just am using Zillow, as soon as I jumped on Zillow and got onto Flint, it's affordable there. Just in comparison to what I've seen here in Salt Lake City, I was pretty surprised.
What could you get for how much money?
Well, this first one that I clicked on is a cute little, it looks like a little cottage home. It's an older build. It was built in 1930, but it's got A nice yard, 10,450 square foot lot. The home is 3,000 square feet.
What?
It's a
You don't need that
5-bed,
much.
4. It's a lot of house, but it's only 285,000. And the estimated mortgage payment, which this would change depending on who you are, it's $1,900, which is a little steep for me, but that's a lot of house.
Okay, so 3 bedrooms.
5 bedrooms,
5 bedrooms,
4 bathrooms. I'm looking through pictures. There's a little bit of work that it could need, but it's just because it's a little older. But it's not bad. This is something like just comparing what I've seen here in Salt Lake. That's a really good deal. I also looked at another one in Flint. This one is listed as a new construction. It's just remodeled. It's redone on the inside. But it's a 2-acre lot. It's 4-bed, 3-bath, 2,160 square feet, and it's $216,000.
So it's over 2,000 square feet.
Yes.
How many bedrooms?
4 beds, 3 baths.
Okay, and how much money?
$216,000.
Oof.
It's cheap. There's something that's got to be wrong with it, but it's a 2-acre lot.
Okay, so in Salt Lake City, I just looked up the typical home value. This is per Zillow, which is the same site you're looking at. Typical home value right now in Salt Lake City is $575,584. How much in Flint?
Well, 216 or 285 in the 200,000 range.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars less, but you wouldn't want to live in Flint.
I mean, I would have to go visit first.
Okay, so let's fly over to one of the other top cities on this list, which, by the way, in just a moment, we're going to get Wallet Hub on the line, and they're going to help us analyze like where Salt Lake City fell and why it fell there. We're also going to take your live calls because I really want to know, what city have you lived in outside of Utah? Okay. If you've lived in a city outside of Utah at any point in your life, or maybe a family member has, and you like intimately know what their experience is, what's that city you've lived in that you would not want to move back to? I've got my city in mind. I've lived there, been there, done that. I feel like I took one for the team when I lived there, so I won't be moving back there. I would say my experience was pretty good there, but I just don't want to live there again. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. And we're going to take your live calls. What city have you lived in that you would not want to move back to? 801-575-TALK, 801-575-TALK. Tell us why. Okay, so now take us over to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which, by the way, talking to Caitlin Johnston, our wannabe home buyer producer, who for years has talked about getting into her first home. I stopped nagging you about this about a year ago because I was like, you just have to buy. You just have to buy. You just have to get in. And I understand the nerves. I had the first-time home buyer nerves. I almost didn't show up for the closing on my first condo that I bought. The agent had to call me and say, get to the closing. You have money down. I was like, I'm so nervous. This is such a commitment. But what we have now is home prices just so high and so unaffordable for so many in Salt Lake. So this list that just came out from Wallet Hub, I think gives us a different perspective. Maybe lets us think differently about, what the options are for first-time home buyers. And so that's what we're analyzing right now. And Caitlin is acting as herself as a first-time home buyer here.
That's true.
So Pittsburgh is the next up on the list.
So I found one this is a really nice house, in my opinion. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,345 square foot, and it is $229,000. Built in 1962, but I'm looking at it. It looks like it's been a little bit remodeled.
So it's about 1,300 square feet.
Yeah, this is like a perfect house.
That's a house you could totally. I think my first house was right around 1,100 square feet. It was a condo. It was perfect size for me. It was 2-bedroom, 1 bath. One bath gets a little tricky.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. I am kind of picky. If I'm going to buy a house, I would prefer to have 2. That's just me though. And I'm just doing comparison with Salt Lake City. You are like downgrading your square footage for a more expensive home in most of the cases here. Because in Salt Lake, I found something for $350,000 because that seems like, okay, it's a little on the lower end. It's not 600, but it's a 936 square foot home.
In Salt Lake?
Yeah. So it's just like you can
price?
find $350,000. That was about where I was finding the low end because there's another one where it's almost $700,000 and that's 4-bed, 2-bath. So, and that's more comparable to, not price-wise, but the housing size is what I'm seeing in Surprise, Arizona. But the price, so I have a 4-bed. This is 1 bath for $325,000
in Surprise, Arizona,
yes.
which is just outside of Phoenix, about 30 minutes, and that also fell in like the top 5 on the list. So Chip Lupo, He's a writer and analyst with Wallet Hub. You've been listening to Caitlin and I chat about this. And Salt Lake City is pretty far down the list. We aren't near the bottom of these 300 cities, though, that Wallet Hub analyzed. Where does Salt Lake City fall? And, give us, just a baseline, maybe the Reader's Digest version of the criteria you use to put Flint, Michigan at the top of this list.
Right. Well, morning, ladies. Salt Lake City is right in the top, let's say top third, because we analyzed 300 cities, large, medium, and small. Salt Lake City came in at 107, which is pretty decent. It's a pretty average number. Now, to the conversation you were having just a second ago, Salt Lake City is, as you well know, a hot real estate market.
Right.
Of course, that means that's competitive for buyers. So homes are selling quickly, prices are gently increasing. You're having people come from maybe high-income states who are more willing to throw down cash for the $800,000 shack that they were living in Los Angeles area and being able to buy a pretty decent house. So it's pricing a lot of folks out of the market there.
Okay, so Flint, Michigan lands on the top of the list. How does that happen? Because I look at that, I look at that, and Chip, and I'm like, I'm not sure I'm packing bags, today to move to Flint.
Okay, now here's the thing. Now, Flint, Michigan, Detroit, Michigan, Pittsburgh. I heard you mentioning Pittsburgh off here. Now, affordable doesn't always mean desirable. Okay, now if you're in an area in which most of your houses are pretty cheap, there's usually a reason for that. Yeah. A lot of times, and these three are examples. Pittsburgh is coming up now. I heard Caitlin mention I believe a house in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, she's already packing her bags. She's ready to move because these prices are really good.
Yeah, but you have to look at what part of Pittsburgh this house in. Maybe it's $225,000 for a reason. Now, if you venture off into the suburbs, that same house will probably cost you twice as much.
Okay.
So, because we're analyzing strictly the cities here. Again, if you step outside of Detroit into the suburbs, you're going to be paying a lot more in a lot of these other places also.
Well, I look at places like Flint, Michigan, and there's the water crisis that they experienced several years ago all over the national news with issues with the water. I look at the median income there is under $40,000. I think it would be a hard sell to tell my kids, you know where I think you should move to afford your first home? How about Flint?
Oh,
I'm sure people who live there, I'm sure there are some great family members that are made there. I've never been there, so I don't personally know. But you hear about these stories about these different communities, and, you look at the average or the median income at $36,000. You're like, where are you going to get a job?
Exactly. And that's part of the problem right there, too, because these are a lot of economically depressed areas. People are moving out because a lot of the automotive and manufacturing jobs went and the people went with it. These cities in Michigan, I'm looking at the stats here, 21% of the houses in the city are vacant. And
How
you know
much?
what happens?
Did you say 21?
21%.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So when you've got high vacant, you know what that means. There's a risk of looters, squatters, vandalism, and all sorts of high crime. So again, affordability doesn't always mean desirability.
As I'm looking down this list, and I have no doubt, I was actually surprised that Salt Lake fell at 107 because I guess it just means there's a lot of other markets across the country, almost 200 others that you analyze there at Wallet Hub that are a lot more or less affordable than Salt Lake City. You've got Orlando, Florida, Roanoke, Virginia, which I guess is related to maybe the D.C. area.
Right.
Beaverton, Oregon is less affordable than Salt Lake. And then you get into the Washington area, and then even Omaha, Nebraska. What's in Omaha besides the college softball tournaments?
The College World Series, of course.
But I'm just shocked by some of these. So I'm just trying to get my brain wrapped around what you guys were looking at with this survey that put us, I guess, with the $575,000 median price point in Salt Lake City or home value in Salt Lake City at 107.
Right. Now, there's more to it than just the cost of the home, and of course, which is up because of interest rates. We do take into effect things such as average cost of homeowner insurance, Salt Lake City ranks fairly low. It's a pretty competitive and average cost of insurance, cost of living, about average. Real estate taxes, about average. Very low vacancy rates.
Well, that makes sense because we have a
right.
supply and demand issue.
Right, and moderate real estate taxes, and also maintenance affordability. One thing that you would find in Flint, Detroit, Pittsburgh, a lot of these older homes, and I think she said that the house in Pittsburgh, like 1952, older houses, going to require more maintenance, more upkeep. Bigger houses going to require more maintenance, more upkeep. Houses have gone vacant. If you're buying it as an investment project, you're going to find out you're going to be in over your head with all the maintenance costs. And depending on what city you're in, I mean, look at the folks in California with the wildfires, just struggling just to get building permits to rebuild their properties. So we take all of that into account. And Salt Lake City is above board in all those critical factors.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for your analysis. Chip Lupo with Wallet Hub jumping on the air with us this morning. You just dropped a new survey. No surprise, Salt Lake City does not top the list of most affordable homes for home buyers. It sits at 107, which I was surprised that it was that high, given the increase in housing prices that we've seen over the last couple of years. Flint, Michigan was number one. A lot of you have texted him, like, of course, Flint, Michigan is number one, and you're citing the water issues that they've had. They have had issues in the past with concerns over their water quality. The city was working to address those, but look at the home price in Michigan. The average home value in Flint, Michigan specifically is about $63,000, and that's down over the past year. But people are still buying homes there because Zillow says the average home that goes on the market is pending. It goes to pending in about 26 days, which is better than what they're seeing in Detroit, which is 30 days. And a lot longer than what they're seeing in Pittsburgh, which is also at the top of the list. It's 12 days it goes pending. What's that one city, Caitlin, that you've thought about, Caitlin Johnston, back from the control room right now, to round out our discussion here? What's that one city you would never move to?
Well, the only other city I have lived in other than like the Salt Lake Valley is Price, Utah, and I'm not a never say never on that.
I know,
but
you can't
it
say
doesn't
never
because I would go back home. However, I couldn't see myself doing it right now because I don't know what I would do for work down there.
That's a great point.
That's why I left. It's just because I wanted to do something different, and a career in media isn't really popular down there. You can be a coal miner or a doctor, pretty much. But yeah, there's even in price though, it is more affordable. However, a lot of the times when I see homes for sale down there, it's not worth the price. It's usually a fixer-upper, or there's new builds right next to my parents' house that have been sitting on the lot for years because they are too expensive for the area. And they're nice homes, but they're just too expensive. But so I wouldn't say I would never move back there, but that's the one I would consider because I've experience there. But even then, you kind of need to know what you're getting into before you'd make that decision.
Don't know if you'd move back to Price, Utah. Mine's Yuma. I lived in Yuma for about 9 months back in 1990. I was a news reporter. It was my first on-air job. And really, the city was good to me. I mean, they were really very, very generous people. If they weren't generous, I wouldn't have eaten. I mean, they were that generous. I wasn't making enough money at times to make ends meet, paycheck to paycheck. But we had a couple of people who owned restaurants that were, always willing to give discounts. I remember there was one place that would bring in occasionally like a free cheesesteak sandwich, and I promise you those are the best cheesesteak sandwiches. And yes, I've been to Philadelphia I've ever had. So I was just so grateful for the generosity of the people there. But to me, it was just too doggone hot. And I grew up in Phoenix. This is somebody who grew up in Phoenix. It was too arid, too hot in the summers. Like, I had 2 pair of shoes. At the time, I was making, they say, $10,000 a year. It was it was hard to make. I didn't make enough money to eat, let alone buy shoes. So I had 2 pair of shoes to wear to work. They were both black. And if I stood outside on the pavement for more than just a few minutes, which you have to do when you're a news reporter, the bottoms of my feet would fry. I'd have to stand on the outsides of my feet and the insides of my feet and on my tippy toes, and then I'd have to try to find some grass. So for me, it's Yuma, and it's only because of the heat.
Character in every news story.
Summer is right around the corner.
It's time to spring into summer with Soda Weight Loss. Today is a new day.
And a big day for you.
Why? Because right now, you'll get our biggest discount of the year.
Do you know how good it feels to let go of 51 pounds of belly fat? And I did it without drugs, shots, or hunger. Because Soda Weight Loss works. Just look at all the Google reviews and all the thousands of before and after pictures.
Soda Weight Loss has one goal, and that's to help you let go of the weight for good.
So I lost 25 pounds. I was never hungry. It was very, very easy. I couldn't believe how fast the weight came off.
Now is the time to join America's #1 weight loss company for client satisfaction and results.
Hurry. Savings won't last long.
Let's go.
Get started now at sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
Okay, the word is it's going to warm up today, and it's probably just going to get warmer and warmer over the next several weeks. So why not give Mountain Home Services a call and get your HVAC looked at? Make sure the air conditioning is running great. Maybe you need some work on the plumbing done in your house, or you've got something that you need to have fixed with your electrical. Maybe some new lighting in the kitchen. Get that honey-do list taken care of with the help of the experts at Mountain Home Services. And what's great about Mountain Home Services is when they come into your home and they give you that bid, what you also get is their upfront pricing guarantee. So that means that the price they quote you when the job begins is the price you pay when the job is done. No hidden fees, 100% satisfaction guarantee. And now's really the time to call because you're going to want to call and ask about the special offer for KSL listeners. So give them a call. Make sure you ask them, hey, what's a special offer for KSL listeners? You can also look them up online. The website is mountainhomeservices.com. That's mountainhomeservices.com. But like I said, give them a call. Ask them about that special offer for KSL listeners at 801-543-2222. Again, 801-543-2222.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370, or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Are you struggling with pain in your feet, ankles, knees, hips, or lower back? At the Good Feet store, we recommend having high-quality support in all of your shoes. Our personalized arch support system has helped countless people find relief, like Karen. Here is her Good Feet story.
After I decided my pain was too much, and my doctor actually suggested that I do visit the Good Feet store. Pretty amazing when they put the arch supports in your shoe and you walk around and you realize there's not pain and you think, how can this arch support in my shoe make my back pain go away? But it works. And how can it make my knee pain go away? It was incredible.
Come to the Good Feet store today and see what we can do for you. Good Feet arch supports are in stock and available in over 300 different styles and sizes.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Stop in today at the Good Feet store.
Millions plan for retirement online. Estimate your future benefits, apply for retirement, and manage your benefits all from the comfort of your home. And give yourself the freedom to do what you want offline. Social Security's online services help put you in control with secure access to your information anytime, anywhere, allowing you to spend more time with family, friends, or simply just enjoying the day. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow. See what you can do online at socialsecurity.gov.
U.S. taxpayer expense.
The main character in every news story is a real person.
I want people who listen to Midday to listen to the show and think it is about them. They're hearing a story that touches them in some way.
The main character in every news story is you.
Whether it is their pocketbook, whether it is their child's safety, people should hear something that is more thought-provoking.
Midday with Maria Chaleos. All new noon to 3 on KSL News Radio.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. It's from ABC News. President Trump meeting with lawmakers to show support for the spending bill and all he's done for medical costs.
Other countries pay a tiny fraction what we do, and I instituted favored nations. We're now going to pay the lowest in the world. We're going to be the equivalent of the lowest country in the world.
The bill is in the House right now. It passed through committee earlier this week. Advocates in Utah are concerned children will be the most affected by proposed Medicaid cuts. Voices for Utah Children Executive Director Mo Hickey says about half of Utah's children are enrolled in the program, and many depend on it for preventative care and early interventions that could be cut.
In particular, if everything goes through as currently proposed, it's going to really hurt rural hospitals and services in rural communities where about 50% of our children are enrolled.
The program currently covers over 210,000 people statewide. Medicaid is available for aging adults, people with disabilities, and children coming from low-income households. Your money at this moment, the Dow, the S&P, and the NASDAQ are all in the negative. The Dow down 59 points to 42,730. Coming up, it's supposed to be warmer today. We'll talk about that when we check KSL weather next. KSL News Time 9:31. The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. And let's face it, it's time to update the look of your home's exterior. When was that thing built? In the 50s, 70s, 90s, the 2000s? Well, it's looking like it. Faded siding, drafty windows, leaky gutters. It's time to take action now. RGS Exteriors has been taking Utah homes from drab to fab for over 5 generations. We only use the highest quality materials, like James Hardy siding and gutter topper gutter covers. You will be blown away by how much different and better and awesome your house can look. Your neighbors will be jealous, your home value will go up, and most of all, you're going to love it. Everything we do comes with our industry-leading 10-year everything guarantee, so you can sleep like a baby, knowing if anything goes wrong, you're 100% covered. For a free estimate on your gutters, windows, siding, or anything on your outside of your home, call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or visit us at rgsutah.com. That's rgsutah.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Let's check in with Heather Kelly.
We still have a little bit of slowing on the 201 freeway eastbound between the West Side Belt and the 900 West exit. A crash is still in the cleanup stages and it's blocking the right lane of the exit ramp to 900 West. But it's much better than it was when traffic was backed up all the way to the Mountain View corridor, and the speeds continue to improve through that area. We still have a little bit of slowing on I-15, both directions getting around the point of the mountain between Utah County and the Salt Lake Valley. Again, that's both northbound and southbound. And if you're coming out of Saratoga Springs, Redwood Road is overly congested right now heading up to Pioneer Crossing. Is the IRS harassing you, garnishing your wages, or threatening asset seizure? Get immediate relief. Contact Utah Tax Attorney Jordan Wilcox. Visit endtaxworry.com. That's endtaxworry.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Rain's mostly gone away, but today will be partly sunny in the morning. Highs will reach the upper 70s this afternoon. Right now, it's only 54 degrees and it's mostly cloudy. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
It's so funny to me what we form opinions about, and we're like willing to die on the hill over. But there's one thing I think everybody has an opinion on when it comes to selling cars. And either you love the idea of being able to park that car that you're trying to sell on the side of a road with a big old for sale sign in it, or maybe you've written for sale with a marker or lipstick on the back of it, and you want to park it on the road so everybody can see it because you want to sell that car quickly. Once you make a decision to break up with a car, you want that thing gone. Or you hate the idea. And you're like, all that does is clutter the road. That car's been parked there for weeks. Maybe you called the cops or you've called the ordinance officer and you want that car hooked and towed. In a moment, we're going to take live calls about this, but this is a story that's developing in Cedar City. We're going to talk about what's going on in Cedar City right now. They've passed a new ordinance there that bans parking cars for sale on public roads. So the city wants to, according to the Cedar City News, and we're going to talk to the reporter that's been tracking this story in just a moment, they want to clean up the area. They don't want your car that's for sale parked on a public road. Alicia Lundgren with the Cedar City News live on the air. Are you in Cedar City right now, Alicia, or down in southern Utah somewhere? Oh, good.
Yep, I'm in Cedar City today.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful here today.
That's great. We'll send some of that good weather up here. We need it. We've gotten a lot of rain lately. So walk us through how this begins in Cedar City, where is it the city council that makes debates whether to pass this ordinance? And what starts this whole thing?
So the city council did approve it. So basically any new ordinance is going to go through the city council to debate and approve. And it was brought to the city council by the Cedar City Police Chief Darren Adams, who I guess just suggested this change, and they talked it over for a couple weeks before they actually approved it.
Oh, so it was the chief of police
who
had some concern. I mean, do you live in the area? Do you see a lot? Do you just as a resident there? Do you when you drive around Cedar City? I mean, when I go to Cedar City, I usually it's usually for a pit stop. The last time I stayed there was several years ago in terms of staying in a hotel, so I don't know the lay of the land there. When you're driving around, do you see a lot of people parking their cars on the sides of the road with big old for sale signs in them? Is this something that's pretty common?
I would say it's pretty common. I live in one of the areas of town that they brought up as kind of a problem area near Canyon View High School. And there's usually a few cars right on North Main Street there, just on the side of the road with for sale signs on them. And I think it depends on the situation, whether they're like a safety issue, but it appears it's become common enough that the police have become concerned about it.
Okay, so the city council approves this new ordinance. Walk us through what the ordinance says, like where you can and cannot park a car that's for sale now if you're down in the Cedar City area.
Sure. So basically, like you said, it bans people from parking their vehicles on public streets if the primary purpose is selling it. And so there are two major exceptions to that. And one of them is basically if you're parking on a public street and you're actively using your vehicle, there's an exception for that. So in my mind, that's like parking your car on the road next to a restaurant you're actually eating at. And then after you're done eating, obviously you get in your car and you drive away.
And you just happen to have a for sale sign plastered in the back window. But you're
Exactly.
legitimately going to a restaurant for dinner. You just don't remove the sale sign, but you're leaving the area.
Yeah,
So that's
so you're
an
not
exception.
just parking it on the street.
Okay, all right.
And then the other exception is if you park in front of a residence you either own or are visiting temporarily, as long as the speed limit is under 25 miles per hour. So in that example, say I could park my car I'm selling right in front of my house. but I couldn't just leave it on Main Street.
How do you have a pulse on how this has been received by residents? Was there any pushback on it? Is there like some, frequent flyer who sells a lot of cars off the side of the road who showed up at these city council meetings and voiced their concerns? Or are you still trying to sort through that angle of this, Alicia?
I've been watching some of the reactions, especially on social media. I think there's probably as many opinions as there are people in Cedar City, but I think it's definitely a mixed bag. Some people are really annoyed by the cars being parked on the side of the road, the site issues that can create, and other people feel like it's too strong an ordinance, I guess too controlling.
Oh, okay.
Where they feel like their rights are not being respected.
I see.
And so it's definitely a mixed bag. I think people are still wrapping their minds around the change.
Yeah. It's interesting because I feel like this is just one of those issues that everybody has, for some reason, an opinion about. And we're actually going to take live calls in just a moment about this. I'm talking right now live to Alicia Lundgren. She's with the Cedar City News, and she's been tracking a story down in the Cedar City area regarding parking cars that are for sale on the side of the road. City Council just approving an ordinance that says you can't do that. But there are some, it sounds like, narrow exceptions. If you're going to a restaurant, you have a for sale sign in your car, and you park it there on the road, and then you go and you dine, and then you leave, you're fine. And if it's your car and it's for sale, and you got a home there and you park it out front, that's okay. But other areas where we all know where these areas are, I mean, the people are parking them there so they get more visibility and maybe get more bites on their car. But I saw your video that you posted online about this, and the one thing that I thought was good of the chief to say, I think it was the chief who said it, is that they're not running around town right away giving out tickets on this, right?
Yeah. They said they would like to start with soft enforcement. It's a big change. People aren't going to be aware of it right away. And so through Memorial Days, they're going to be giving warnings, they said, and then after that, people will more likely get a citation or have their car towed.
Do you know how much have their car towed? Okay, how much does that cost? Do you have any idea, Alicia? I don't want to. Have you tracked down how much these citations are going to cost? I know how much a car tow can cost. I've done stories on that. That can cost hundreds of dollars. But what about a citation?
And so looking at the section of the municipal code that this ordinance is in, it looks like if someone violates one of the provisions in this chapter, and that's not just this car selling ordinance, there's a few other things in it, but it looks like they could be fined up to about $500.
Yikes. Okay. Well, that's good to know. So for those of us who are going to Cedar City, but more importantly, this affects the people who live there and want to sell their cars. So Alicia Lundgren with Cedar City News, where can we check out your full report?
Sure, yeah. So it's cedarcityutah.com, and Utah spelled out. And the name of the article is Keeps Them Clear, Cedar City Bans Parking Vehicles for Sale on Public Roads.
Awesome. Alicia, fun to talk to you. Thanks so much for calling in the show this morning. We're going to take live calls straight ahead. You heard her say there were lots of different opinions about this new ordinance in Cedar City. Cannot park your car for sale on the side of a public road if your purpose is to try to sell the thing to people who are driving by. 801-575-TALK, 801-575-TALK. Tell us, do you sell your car on the side of a road? How did you buy or sell your last car? 801-575-TALK. Did you buy it off the side of a road, or did you buy it offline? 801-575-TALK. We're going to take your live calls next.
If your water heater's over 10 to 15 years old, congratulations. You've beat the average. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and I love hearing stories of people having water heaters that are really old and they're still doing their job. Unfortunately, most of us won't be that lucky. And when water heaters fail, it's usually in spectacularly inconvenient fashion. Whether it's an unexpected cold shower when we're already running late for work, or worse yet, coming home to a flooded basement, it's never fun. If you'd like to look into replacing your water heater before it fails, Any Hour Services is having a sale for any homeowners listening. Whether you're looking for a new tanked water heater or you want to see what upgrading to a tankless would cost, the plumbers at Any Hour Services can show you what options are available. And right now, you can save $400 on a tanked water heater or $1,200 on a tankless. If you think you might be interested, call Any Hour Services today and schedule your free estimate. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body?
Huh?
That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Here's how to get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. Our US-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you, and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing.
Teens can get up to $200 with a Teen Learn and Earn account. Plus, continue earning rewards as they master the essentials of finance. More at cypresscu.com/teen.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Woo. Will you park a car on the side of a public road in Cedar City to sell it? And that's your sole purpose. And we all know at some point either we've done that or somebody we know has done that. You get you in trouble. It could get you a fine of, sounds like $500, or your car towed. Because Cedar City has passed this ordinance that prohibits parking cars that are for sale on public roads. There are some exceptions. We talked to Alicia Lundgren with Cedar City News about it. She's been tracking this story. If you are running into a restaurant to eat and you happen to have a for sale sign in the back window of your car, not a problem. If you're parked on a public road, you just come back out and you move it. If you leave it there for 3 days and pretend like you were eating inside that restaurant for 72 hours straight, could cost you a fine and a tow. The police department's saying that they're going to soft launch this new ordinance, according to what Lundgren just told us, by issuing warnings. But I'm curious, 801-575-TALK, what you think about this. Is this ban a ban too far? You think people should be allowed to park their cars on the side of the road if it's a public road, if they want to sell the thing? 801-575-TALK. Alicia Lundgren with the Cedar City News just hung up the phone with us, and she said, there has been widespread reaction from the community on this.
I've been watching some of the reactions, especially on social media. I think there's probably as many opinions as there are people in Cedar City, but I think it's definitely a mixed bag. Some people are really annoyed by the cars being parked on the side of the road, the site issues that can create, and other people feel like it's too strong an ordinance, I guess too controlling.
Oh, okay.
Where they feel like their rights are not being respected.
I see.
And so it's definitely a mixed bag. I think people are still wrapping their minds around the change.
Yeah. Are you in the camp of, this is a bridge too far? It's too controlling. Government shouldn't tell me where to park my car that's for sale if it's on a public street? Or are you on the camp that's more annoyed by this kind of thing? Where, look, there are websites that you can sell your cars online. Go sell it online. 801-575-TALK. We're going to take your live calls in just a few minutes. Let me know where you land on this one. I'm a little surprised that there are still a lot of people parking their cars in either parking lots, at the edge of a parking lot, so everybody passing by can see that it's for sale, or on the side of a road. Because what we've seen is just a huge influx of people moving to online platforms to sell their cars. Especially the younger generation. The stats show that 77% of people 18 to 24 years old, like a lot, 3/4, go online and sell their cars. They buy and sell them online. And the older we get, the less likely we are to do that. Once you're 67 years old, you're like, nah, I'll probably trade that thing in. Maybe you'll sell it on the side of the road. Only 21% of 67-year-olds and older sell it online. That's not a big surprise. But also people my age, too. 20% people my age, I'm 58, the 57 to 66-year-olds, we're like, no thanks. I'm a little bit like one of those, oh, no thank yous. I don't want to sell it online. I traded my last car in. I have sold cars online before. The older I get, for some reason, it just doesn't resonate with me the way it used to. But what do you think of this ordinance in Cedar City? 801-575-TALK. Is it a bridge too far that the city is cracking down on cars that are for sale that are parked on public roads? Are you on the camp of, I think it should be, you should be able to park your car anywhere as long as it's not in the way of traffic on the side of a city street. If the objective is to sell it, like, who cares? Don Brinkerhoff, one of our reporters here in the control room right now, how did you buy or sell your last cars?
So I do the online thing.
Do you ever park it on the side of the road?
Nope. I just leave it in the driveway, and then when I get a call, it's like, hey, I'll meet you someplace public,
A public place, a public parking lot.
And it works really well. I'll give a shameless plug to KSL.com.
Yeah.
That's how I've sold all of my cars.
Yeah.
And it's worked really well. I've never had a car up for more than just a few days.
Oh, there you go. Hi, Eddie. You live in Holiday. Have you parked your car on the side of the road for sale in the great city of Holiday? Would you dare? You there, Eddie? Hey.
Yes, I'm here. Sorry.
No worries. It's probably our board, not your phone. So, have you live in Holiday? Have you parked it on the side of the road to sell your cars in the past?
I have. It's been a few years for sure. Online is much more effective these days. But my thought is the car for sale legally registered?
Yeah.
If it is, it should be allowed all the same rules that a registered car would be allowed parked on the street.
But, I mean, don't we reach a point as residents at some point when you see the same car parked there day after day after day? It kind of becomes suspicious, actually. So is there a threshold? Maybe after a couple of days in your book, they got to move the thing?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what the law is today, but I think it's just a couple of days it can be parked in one area.
Yeah.
But I know that's how a lot of things are sold in smaller towns.
Yeah, well, you're right. I think you hit the nail on the head there. That's a great point. How we do things in Salt Lake City, much bigger community, is not how they do things in some of our smaller communities. Hi, Rusty. It sounds like you're worried. Is the car registered as well? It's like illegally registered. Why are we hooked up on that? Somebody, Eddie from Holiday, was concerned about that. What's your worry about that? Obviously it needs to be registered.
Are you talking to me?
I'm talking to you, Rusty. Hi. How are you?
Oh, I'm tired.
Yeah. Hey, that makes two of us, right? No. So tell me why. So the car registration is a thing for you. You're concerned about that.
Well, we pay good money to have the cars on the road.
Yep.
And if the car's registered and sitting in front of your house for sale, what's the big deal?
Yeah. Well, they can do it in front of their house in Cedar City. They can park it there in front of their house for sale. What the issue here is under this ordinance is you can't just park it on a city street. And Alicia Lundgren with Cedar City News gave the example of like near the high school, where you might see a couple of cars parked there that are for sale. And what they are going to do moving forward in Cedar City is if it's on a public road and you're not there for the purpose of like running into a store and buying something and then leaving, if the sole purpose is to park it in the gutter, like walk away for a day or so and leave the thing there with a big for sale sign, and you're not allowed to do it. You're just not allowed to do it. Some people think that is, a move too far. It's government going too far. They think we pay for the city streets, we pay our taxes. To your point, if the car's registered, maybe that's just not that big of a deal. But the chief of police, according to Alicia's reporting, is the one who brought that to the city council. They passed it. And now she says, according to the ordinance that it falls under, you leave it there long enough, you could face a pretty good fine. And I think, maybe it escalates to this point. It doesn't get there right away. But I think what's worse than fines is you find your car is hooked up to the back end of a tow truck and being hauled away. And then you got to go run over to the tow yard and start dealing with that aspect of it.
It's time for the KSL Give-a-thon.
We need your help raising money for sick Utah kids receiving treatment at Primary Children's Hospital.
Go to kslkids.com and donate today.
Be a smile maker. An automatic gift each month helps save the lives of children all year long.
Sponsored by J&J Garden Center in Layton.
A big thanks to other generous sponsors, including the Utah Hyundai dealers, for their amazing support of the kids at Primary Children's.
The KSL Give-a-thon. We can't do it without you. Please give today at kslkids.com.
This is Jeff Stout with Fink & McGregor, Mortgages Made Simple. News of recent layoffs reminded me of a quote from Bob Hope. A bank is a place that will lend you money if you can prove you don't need it. A periodic check of finances can prevent big problems later on. How much debt do you have? What are the payments? Do you have a rainy day fund? What would happen if you lost your job or had other unforeseen financial issues? Mortgage interest rates have been coming down, and there may be a window of opportunity to look at your situation in terms of a possible refinance and restructuring of debt. If you'd like to go over your situation, give us a call or take advantage of our quick application at 4minutemortgage.com. It might help. There's one way to find out. Give us a call. Fink & McGregor, Mortgages Made Simple, 801-264-9494. That's 264-9494. Or on the web at finkmcgregor.com, NMLS 289115.
Do you need new windows? Look, all glass pretty much looks the same to the naked eye, but if your windows aren't triple-coated, argon-filled and sealed double-pane glass, the cold is seeping in. You need to call Advanced Window Products. They use the highest quality glass and premium vinyl to create state-of-the-art windows and frames, and for 38 years, they build those frames right here in Utah. Custom crafted for Utah's climate. The best windows you can buy at prices 30 and 40% less than what the big companies charge because they cut out the middleman. They're the factory. They even give you a lifetime warranty, and right now as we head into spring, save an extra $2,500 off 10 windows or more. Custom windows that'll give your house a fresh new look and save you money on your heating and air conditioning. Advanced Windows offers 60-month 0% financing, even buy now, pay later, and an extra $2,500 off. Call for a quote, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. 'Cause I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Here's how to get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. Our US-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you, and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing.
When you want a brand new kitchen, there's nothing to it. There's a brand new way to do it. 3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
Here's another satisfied customer of 3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
Anita Bennett.
When I first heard about 3-Day Kitchen and Bath, I thought, there's no way they could do a good job in 3 days, and they must carry only the plain Jane basics in cabinets, countertops, and flooring. Then they came to our house, and we found out they offered top-quality materials with tons of choices and lots of custom options. They worked with us to design a bathroom that was perfect for our family. They looked at our needs and thought of details I hadn't even considered. The installation was clean, thorough, and professional, and they were done in just 3 days. When we got back from the hotel, I couldn't believe the difference. The bathroom is beautiful.
See us on the web at 3daykitchen.com.
It's about time.
3 days or less.
At 3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
My name is Dale Pazinski. I volunteer with United Way to help the homeless in my community learn computer skills and build a basic resume. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour, Utah's Republican Party locked down its website after finding links posted to pornographic material from an alleged cyber attack.
The GOP party locked down their website after learning of the attack yesterday. GOP party chair Rob Axon told the Salt Lake Tribune they believe the attacker used the calendar function to upload links to pornography. He says the attack is a sign the party is doing something right. Axon says the links have been removed, but they're keeping the page locked down until they remove any vulnerabilities so something like this doesn't happen again.
KSL News Radio's Virl Johansson reporting. Our top national story this hour from ABC News, an arrest has been made in connection with the 10 inmates who escaped a New Orleans jail. A maintenance worker at the facility has been charged with aiding the inmates by cutting off the water to a toilet so that they could escape through a hole in the wall behind it.
The motives that cause men to do bad things, they range. So all I can tell you is he made a bad choice. It's going to change his life forever.
The three other jail employees have been suspended in this investigation. 4 of the 10 inmates have been recaptured. You can expect to hear some more big booms in Bluffdale and surrounding areas this week. The Utah National Guard's conducting live fire artillery training at Camp Williams. The training will last through the week with booms being heard sporadically from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Your money at this moment, the Dow down 0.25%, 108 points to 42,685. Coming up, sunshine and beautiful weather into the holiday weekend. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 10:01.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my superhydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Here's how to get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. Our US-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you, and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing.
Hi, this is Jason.
And Kathy of Window World.
Mom, it almost happened again.
What almost happened, Jason?
A customer almost didn't choose us because he was shocked our prices were so low.
Oh, no. What did you tell him?
I told him I could charge him more if he wanted me to, or he could spend the savings on something awesome.
Oh, that's amazing. What did he say?
He decided to save thousands of dollars and get a whole house of amazing windows with Window World.
Call 281-8111.
Window World.
Simply the best.
And as Doug always said, that's no baloney.
It's Jeff Jr. from Trajan Wealth, and I've got something important to talk to you about, your 401k. If you have changed jobs, there are 2 very important considerations. You don't want to leave your 401k behind, and you don't want to roll it over into your new company plan without consulting Trajan Wealth first. 401ks will often have limited investments or age-based options. Since companies have to make choices to suit all employees, they may not be suited to you, which could cost you fees and money. When you roll over your 401k into an IRA, you not only keep your money growing tax deferred, but you also gain access to a world of investment options specifically designed for you. Trajan Wealth and our fiduciary advisors have helped thousands, and we can do the same for you. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. 801-899-7600.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor.
At Intermountain Health, we believe life is a circle. May yours surround you with insight, a healthy perspective, trust, and reassurance. The belief that our differences aren't that different, and compassion just when you need it most. Life is a circle. May yours help you live the healthiest life possible. Intermountain Health.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Traffic and weather together on KSL News Radio, brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Here's Heather Kelly.
We do have a crash in Tooele City. This is on 2000 North. It's heading northbound right at Main Street. That's SR 36. It is blocking a right lane, so traffic is backing up in the area. They're having to use the left lane to make that right-hand turn onto southbound SR 36. So it's causing a bit of delay in a couple of directions, but that's the only issue we have on the roadways now. Traffic running pretty smoothly on I-15 both directions throughout Utah, Salt Lake, Davis, and Weber counties, and no problems on the east and west side belt routes around the Salt Lake Valley. When you take UTA, you can do just about anything while you ride. You won't even notice all the traffic you're missing. Plan your trip at rideuta.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
We should see a high today of 71 degrees, 73 tomorrow, and then we get into the 80s on Thursday and Friday heading into the holiday weekend. Right now it's 56 degrees and cloudy in some spots in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Hey, I looked at the calendar, and it's Memorial Day. It's Memorial Day weekend, so we're going to go in-depth the next 20, 25 minutes or so about Memorial Day weekend plans. We're going to get with the Utah State Parks and ask them how camping looks and how the national parks are going to treat us this Memorial Day weekend and beyond in terms of visitors. And also, Matt Gebhardt is in studio with me again. Can you, belly up to the microphone there? Hi. I'm bringing you in a little bit early. Can you be with me you want to talk with me to Devin Chavez?
I sure do.
Yeah. So you're gonna chime in just a minute on hotel bookings and how to keep us, safe from scams with hotel bookings.
Yeah, scams and even not scams, but just the idea that I've reported many, many times on when you are doing business through one of these third-party travel agents, talking about your Expedias, and they're legitimate. But if there's a problem, sometimes it's very difficult to get these things fixed, right? You can't go to the airline or the hotel directly and say, hey, I've got a problem. You didn't book it the way it was supposed to be booked or whatever, because they'll turn around and say, well, Matt Gebhardt, you're not my customer.
Yeah.
My customer is somebody named Expedia. So you need to call them, and then you're standing in the lobby trying to get somebody on the phone in a system where they don't answer the phone.
Okay. Well, stay tuned for that because Matt's got a lot of details on how to work through that and how to navigate that. So, you end up getting into the hotel that you wanted to get into. Devin Chavez, who's the Deputy Director of Utah State Parks. Good morning. Happy early Memorial Day weekend.
Good morning, Matt and Debbie. Happy early Memorial Day weekend discussion, I guess.
I think people are already heading out, Devin, because I've noticed lighter traffic on my drive in the morning. I could just be making that up, but honestly, not as many people heading into work. So are campgrounds already starting to fill up? Give us the lay of the land.
So as usual, as we've learned to expect here in Utah, camping is already starting to fill up, not only for the holiday weekend, but throughout the week and the week after. But all is not lost, Debbie. There still are quite a few campgrounds out there for those looking to make some last-minute Memorial Day plans.
Well, I'm hoping the weather cooperates, because the weather of the last couple of days, I don't know. Unless you have a trailer, it's not exactly tent camping weather in my book.
It's getting hot.
It's good. Yeah, Matt's saying it's going to warm up. So what's still open out there for us, Devin? What's all filled up? Walk us through it.
So again, everything I'm going to talk to you guys about is what's open as we talk about this. Reservations do change, people cancel, and then others are booked up. But as of right now, we are seeing campgrounds all the way from Bear Lake to Sand Hollow and even Snow Canyon. So everywhere from northern Utah all the way down to southern. Dead Horse Point, if you were looking to hit Moab, is completely full. However, some good news for everybody out there. We will be grand opening the new Utah Raptor State Park on Friday. So the campground is open for reservations for Memorial Day weekend. If you're looking to head to Moab and have your trailer or your tent and you're thinking, oh, man, Dead Horse Point's booked up, I bet you the national parks are full, all is not lost, because this weekend we'll be grand opening our new campground, and you could actually make those reservations right now. We have about half the sites still, I believe about 30 sites still available for trailers down there.
So, Devin, Memorial Day weekend, Labor Day weekends, we know the weekends that they get crowded in, because we all have the 3 days, 4 days off. What is the good time? What is the time that you grab your family and say, we can get out here and have a little elbow room?
So I personally like to go midweek sometimes, but I also, funny enough, even though I work for parks, I love going out on the holidays, because I do love to be a part of the hustle and bustle. However, for me, I've been to the Sand Hollows and the Bear Lakes before, the Jordanelles, and I know those are going to be full and packed and fun. But it's the smaller parks, whether that's on a big holiday weekend like Memorial Day or Easter or what have you, but even during regular times. So the East Canyons, the new and improved Red Fleet State Park, those are the type of parks I like to go to, because I do have a little bit more, what you're saying, Matt, elbow room, and I can just take my family out on the paddleboard and have a good time.
Devin, we were talking, Matt, I thought Matt had a great question there about when to go, but is there an easy way to look and see before Matt books his next camping trip with his family, what parks do have spots that are open? Can he book online?
Absolutely. So all of our bookings are available online. If you're not an online person, there's a phone number on our website as well that you can call. But most people like to make their bookings online. And last year we started this new button on our website at stateparks.utah.gov on the reserve. It's a button that says Camping This Weekend, and it'll actually filter in real time all of the current campsites that are available this weekend by park. So even Memorial Day weekend, I checked it before calling in to talk with you all, and yeah, there's still some spots available at Bear Lake, Sand Hollow, Snow Canyon. So if you're going to do it later tonight, you could go and click that same button and really just look anywhere in the state within the state park system that has those sites available.
You just listed off all the places that everybody knows about. What are the hidden gems? Where's the state park that, don't tell anybody except everybody listening to this right now, that we should all be checking out?
Okay, well, just between the three of us, no one's listening right now.
Everyone else turn off your radio quick.
Personally, I've always loved, like I said, East Canyon and Red Fleet. Red Fleet's a big one for me. I actually went on my honeymoon there, my first anniversary there. It's in Vernal, just past Steinecker State Park, if you all know where that is. And it's awesome. It's a little paddleboard, little
I like
sanctuary,
it already.
in my opinion.
I like it already.
It's got red rocks, dinosaur tracks you can hike to, and now a new and improved campground that we just built last year. So if you're looking to get away from the hustle and bustle of the city, the Moab, the Bear Lakes and Jordanelle busyness of the world, then Red Fleet would be one that I would highly recommend. But then if you're into fishing, the Schofields and the Fred Hay State Parks at Starvation Reservoir, those are also very, very popular for locals. But I think that oftentimes even us as Utahns here on the Wasatch Front forget that those aren't that far away, especially for a awesome trip with the family.
Well, Devin, thank you so much. Again, it's stateparks.utah.gov. Is that the website?
Yep, stateparks.utah.gov. Click the reserve button, and we can find you a campsite. Remember, Utah Raptor, brand new this weekend.
Awesome. Thanks, Devin. Devin Chavez, the Deputy Director of Utah State Parks, live on the line with us. He jumps on the line with us about this time of year for our summer holiday season, Memorial Day weekend this weekend. Maybe you're deciding, hey, you know what? I don't want to camp. I'm going to get a hotel room. Matt Gephardt, of course, with me here now. He's with KSL5 Television's investigative unit. You've done a lot of stories on these third-party hotel booking sites, which you said are legitimate sites.
Sure.
But there's some things that we need to be aware of.
Yeah, I mean, when they work great, and sometimes they can find you discounts. But I've had personal experience. I know many people who've had personal experience, as well as I've done copious reports on people who basically get into a situation and it's not what they thought they were going to get. I'll tell this was not a story, this was a personal example, but I'd booked 2 hotel rooms for some friends and I to go to Denver. And when we got there, they only had 1 hotel room booked. And my itinerary that I printed out and brought with me, because I was, old, because I am old, was no, look right here. It says I'm supposed to have 2. And they said, well, if you look in our system, we only have 1. I don't know what to tell you. We don't have a room for you. And I said, well, what are we going to do about this? And they basically said, you're not our customer. Our customer is that third-party app. So we all sat around in the lobby while I tried to get on the phone with somebody who, by the way, never answered. I probably sat on the phone for 45 minutes listening to hold music. And ultimately what we lied. We basically said, okay, fine, only 4 of us will be staying here, and the other 2 walked out of the place, and then we just snuck them in the back door because what else are you going to do? We needed a place to stay, and we slept on top of each other all weekend.
That sounds fun.
Well, it was again. We are too old to be sleeping like that. I lived on some couch cushions on the floor for 3 days.
Yeah, you make the best of it.
Yeah.
You make the best of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so lesson learned was be aware, I guess. Maybe double check with the hotel. Make sure they've got both reservations.
Double check, and honestly, I'm to the point I booked directly. I have not found personally savings to be really there very much, especially on some of these third-party apps, and some of the benefits that you also get from booking, say, from Delta directly, from United Airlines, from American Airlines directly, versus going through some of these third-party apps. They make it simple, right? They you can sit here and you can click on the thing, and it will. One of the nice things about some of these third-party apps is I want to get to Orlando. I can type in Salt Lake to Orlando. Here are my dates, and it will search all of them. If you're not loyal to an airline, it'll search and tell you the various prices and the various times. And
I do that all the time.
Yeah. And what I do with that then is I take that information and I go book directly.
You grab that information and you just call the airline or the hotel directly.
Yeah, or you hop on their website directly and book that way. And I find the savings to be, it's right there, almost dollar for dollar.
I had the opposite experience with you years ago booking through a third-party vendor for a hotel in San Francisco. Got a screaming good deal. It all worked out very, very well. However, I will say that I also used a coupon or something like that to book it. So it was like I had these like layers of potential issues when I got there that I thought, I'm getting this rate because of this coupon. And then on top of it, I've booked it not directly through the hotel. It worked out wonderfully. However, I'm with you. I have moved into just calling the hotel directly. And I almost rarely book online. I'm super duper old school. I pick up the phone and I call whatever it is, the Marriott or the Hilton or the Motel 6, and I talk to somebody, like a human, about it. Because I always ask this question, is this the very best rate that you could give me? I mean, I am 58 years old, and I'm looking for a senior discount or something. They're like, you don't quite qualify yet, lady. But I like that human interaction because they ask that question. But walk us through some of the stories that you've heard with these third-party websites. Sure. And I know when I was at the investigative unit, I got calls on these and did some stories as well.
I mean, I did a story last week on a woman who booked a stay and for a hotel stay, and unbeknownst to her, there was a deposit, and she's didn't have a lot of extra money, and she didn't want to have to pay a $100 deposit. So she's standing there at the desk saying, "I booked this through the company is Agoda in this case." And they said, well, you have to make a $100 deposit. And she said, well, I don't have $100 in my pocket to do that for you. And I said, well, you better step out and talk to Agoda. And so she stepped out and she picked up the phone and she got on the phone with someone and basically said, I don't have $100 in my pocket. And she was told that basically she got some answer to the effect of, okay, we'll take care of it. She hung up the phone. She stepped back in. Well, it turns out they canceled her reservation. And she went, what? So she actually went and slept in her car that night and then made it back to Utah. And she had not only been charged for the first hotel stay, she'd been charged for 2 additional hotel stays. So she got 0 and she was charged for 3. And all of a sudden, and now they can't, and she's going, oh my gosh, there's some sort of fraud. So she quickly does what we do. And when we suspect fraud, we cancel our credit cards, in this case, a debit card. She canceled her debit card and opened up a new bank account. And in the process of doing that, now Agoda didn't have a way to refund her. And they've basically just, for months and months and months, gone, yeah, well, we owe you the money, but we can't get it to you. So
they've agreed
tough.
to pay her.
Yeah.
But she went through the steps of trying to protect her finances in that moment and doesn't have. So now she, as far as you know, at this point, she still does not have.
No,
that
we helped her.
You did get her.
We
Okay.
helped her. We helped her get her money back.
Good.
I say we helped her, but you know, who knows if that was the process working? But yeah, we reached out to the PR people and pointed out their things that you know that this money was owed, and surely you guys must have the ability to write a check. But that's one example. Another example from just a couple of months ago is I interviewed a couple that was on their way to their honeymoon, and they had booked through a third party booking website, and in the process of doing that, their flight had changed, and it had gone to several hours earlier. The departure time was several hours earlier, but because they hadn't booked through the airline directly, they weren't getting the notices. They weren't getting the, hey, you need to be here by a certain time. And so they basically are on their way to the airport when all of a sudden their app pings and says, your zone is now boarding. And it's like, and they missed their flight.
I hope I'm in zone 50.
You're right.
They
did not make it.
9.
They did not make it. They did not make it. And so they lost a day of their honeymoon. It was, sleeping through airports for 48 hours trying to get there.
Oh, no.
And it also turns into a lot of expenses in that regard, right? So like, well, yeah, okay. Ultimately, they were able to get some money back from the third-party booking website, but nowhere near to the amount of money they had to spend on everything from toiletries to quick rent-by-the-hour hotel rooms along the way.
A lot of these sites are extremely popular, though, so they must work for a lot of people because I see them online, and available. I don't use them like I have in the past. So they must work for some people.
A lot of people use them. I have used them. I still do use them from time to time. For the most part, if there is a deal to be found, I will always step away and make sure that there's real savings there. But sometimes I'm going, oh man, that really is. Sometimes they have deals, right? And there's a really good deal by going through one of these third-party booking sites. And so I will go back to them and take my chances and make my deal. But I think the real true benefit of them, and why I almost always start on one of those websites, is that they aren't brand loyal, right? If you type in, I'm going to be in Denver on these dates, get me a hotel room, it won't just search the Hilton website or the Marriott website or the whatever website. It'll search all of them. And in some of them cases now, it'll even search like your Airbnbs and your VRBOs, your Verbos, right? And so that's where it can at least give you a barometer across all brands of what a hotel room in this area is going to cost on these dates.
How do you make sure, if you are deciding to use a third-party website to book, whether it's a flight or a hotel, that you make sure it's a legitimate site and you're not going down the rabbit hole of getting involved in something that might be fraudulent? Are there any flags that we should be looking out for?
Absolutely. Great question. And the short answer is, if you haven't heard of them, I'd stay clear, quite frankly, because there are a lot that do pop up there. We see this a lot with ticket sales, ticket resales and stuff, right? Like, we all know we're paying a premium when we start going through some of the ticket resale companies, but we know the ones we've heard of. We know Grubhub, we know SeatGeek, right? And then they have a gazillion other ones that you haven't heard of. And then I've reported many times on like a concert or a show gets postponed or canceled, and the reputable ones are issuing refunds while some of these smaller ones aren't. And then other cases where you're buying from somebody you think is the venue and it's not actually the venue. The same thing is happening in hotel room sales too, right? If you type in Hilton, for example, the thing that comes up at the top of your Google search frequently will not actually be Hilton. It'll be whoever's paying for the advertisement to be there, and that may or may not be something legitimate. So just making sure, it's to the point of if I've heard of them, there's enough of them out there that I've heard of, and I guess if you haven't heard of them, maybe there's some deals to be found there, but I let other people go through those hoops for me until they become a company I've heard of.
Yeah, don't let the dollar savings entice you.
And if they're huge dollar savings, that's often a red flag.
Make sure you're on a website that you said like you've heard of before. Matt, thank you so much. I always appreciate your tips. That's Matt Gephardt with the KSL 5 Investigative Unit. You can check out his full report and all of his reports at KSLTV.com. And you can see him weeknights. Tonight, you on the air?
I am on the air tonight.
What time? Do you know
10 p.m., where a gentleman who lives in Utah was declared dead, and he's not dead. And we're gonna see if we can help the federal government
sort that out.
Recognize that he still has a pulse.
Well, are you available tomorrow to come talk to us about that one? You had me at There's a Man in Utah. All right, I'll be watching. That's KSL 5 Television's Matt Gephardt. Thank you so much for keeping our money safe. Appreciate it. Straight ahead, Jay Evenson, Deseret News opinion editor, saying it's time for America to make some real cuts to the federal budget. I'll ask Jay to give us his best budget cut pitch when he joins me next.
The news of the day lands harder when it affects you.
I really want our stories to focus more on the human element. Focus on how it's affecting the mom and her children. I want us to go more in depth and really take a look at what is at the heart of the story and how does it affect your pocketbook or how does it affect your lifestyle. My name is Maria Chaleos. I invite you to join us from noon to 3 for Midday right here on KSL News Radio.
Comcast Business is celebrating Small Business Month by giving you a $1,000 small business bonus when you switch to a qualifying gig speed package from the company with over 99.99% network reliability. Just imagine the thousands of possibilities of a $1,000 prepaid card. Like possibility number 1, company merch for staff. Styling. Or possibility number 24, the latest software. Upgrade. Or possibility number 192, new equipment powered by gig speeds. Or possibility number 555, a 3D printer. Rapid prototyping, anyone? Switch to Comcast Business for over 99.99% network reliability, advanced cybersecurity, and now get started with a $1,000 small business bonus. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
And 6/22/25. New customers only with 2-year agreement. Other restrictions apply.
Did you hear? A recent stash of $10 gold Liberty coins from the 1800s has been found. These gorgeous gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck in the late 1800s, and less than 200 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling this gold find an incredible opportunity. Call 1-800-917-4635, and you are guaranteed a $10 gold Liberty coin minted by the U.S. Mint in the 1800s. But with extremely limited availability, you must call now. These gold Liberty coins from the 1800s are still in uncirculated condition. That is history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-917-4635. Call now and you'll receive a free American Coin Collector's Bonus Package, a $40 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-917-4635 now to secure your $10 gold Liberty coins dated from the 1800s before they sell out. That's 1-800-917-4635.
Summer is almost here. It's time to get in the best shape of your life with Soda Weight Loss.
Hey there.
You're looking good.
My name is Corey Stulian. My wife and I began our Soda weight loss journey on January 20th of this year. We have seen some amazing results. I have lost 59.4 pounds. My wife lost 30.3 pounds, and we feel great.
It's time to spring into summer with Soda Weight Loss, because right now you'll get our biggest discount of the year.
Every single day, Soda Weight Loss is helping people let go of the weight without drugs, without hunger, and the weight stays off.
I love Soda Weight Loss. Thank you for helping to change our lives. I highly recommend it for anybody who wants to lose weight or get healthy.
Get started now at sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com.
Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text ALL to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text ALL to 321-321. That's ALL to 321-321.
On the surface, it seemed like just another Cinderella story.
A team that was predicted to finish dead last is now waiting to play the first round of the playoffs.
But Real Salt Lake's 2021 playoff run was so much more than what happened on the pitch.
Our club is burning to the ground.
This is the tip of the iceberg. Making of a Moment, the RSL story, is available now.
I just kind of got chills right now thinking about it.
Follow us at makingamomentpod.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. Our top story this hour: power back on for most people in Layton after a car crash took out 3 power poles last evening near the intersection of Gentile and Fairfield. Witnesses say the car looked like it was going 90 miles an hour and then it flipped. Sheldon Williams was across the street, heard the wreck, and then rushed to the car.
I didn't really know what I was doing at that point because I was just so scared for the guy. He was just shaking. The car was on fire, by the way. The car was actually on fire. I could see the smoke.
He says he found a pocket knife and used it to cut the man's seatbelt and get him out. First responders arrived shortly after. We're still waiting to get an update on the condition of the driver and what led up to the crash. Hazmat crews were out at a North Logan water treatment facility after word of a possible chlorine leak. The North Park police shut down access to the area for about 2 hours yesterday afternoon while investigating. The Herald Journal says the leak was under control and turned back to the owners soon after. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump spent time with House Republicans on Capitol Hill this morning trying to convince a few holdouts to vote for his budget bill. After the meeting, he said a few changes will be made to the bill when it goes to the Senate.
In some cases, they have things that I like even better. No, it always happens. There'll be some change.
The president was asked about cuts to Medicaid, and he responded saying the only thing he wants to cut is waste and fraud. Your money at this moment: the Dow down 0.33%, 146 points to 42,645. Coming up, we've got warm and lots of sunshine as we get ready for Memorial Day weekend. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 10:31.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
It all started with a commitment to comfort. Gillette Heating and Air is proud to be Utah County's go-to team for expert HVAC and plumbing solutions. Need a repair, upgrade, or seasonal tune-up? Don't let cost hold you back. With 0% financing available, it's easy to get the work done now and pay later. Plus, save $100 on any repair over $500 and keep your system running strong with a professional tune-up before the heat hits. Visit GilletteHVAC.com or call 385-GET-COOL to book today. Homegrown service pros, financing made simple, comfort made easy.
Do you have an IRA or 401k? It's natural to think of this as being your money, right? But remember, you still have to pay taxes when you withdraw this money in retirement. And you could be paying a lot more in taxes on these accounts than you know. A lot more. Learn the strategies that can help you reduce or eliminate your taxes in retirement. Don't miss a special edition of Retirement Solutions Radio this Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock, right here on KSL News Radio 1027.
Traffic and weather together on KSL News Radio, brought to you by Mountain America's homegrown home loans. Let's check in with Heather Kelly.
Well, we do have a crash northbound I-15 at University Parkway exit in Orem. Now, it looks to be just a fender bender, but there are a few cars involved in this one. It's over on the right shoulder, right as you take that exit ramp, not affecting main flow at all. In fact, we don't have any delays on I-15 anywhere, northbound or southbound, throughout Utah, Salt Lake, and Davis counties. Do have a bit of slowing, though, out in the Magna area. It's on 2700 West as you go westbound away from 8400 West. Just haven't heard of a crash in that area, but something is slowing you down there. While you're planning your day, plan for comfort, too, with the Good Feet store. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather. If you love warm but not hot weather, this is the week for you. We should be in the low 70s today and tomorrow. Then the low 80s Friday and Saturday, heading into the holiday weekend. Right now it's partly cloudy and 58 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Well, his opinion piece couldn't come at a better time as they are debating a budget back in Washington, D.C. Jay Evenson of the Deseret News in studio with me once again, as he is every week. His latest opinion piece entitled "America Needs Real Fiscal Reform." Hi, Jay.
Hi.
I love that because I've got a lot to say about this, and I think a lot of listeners have a lot to say about it. Walk us through where you landed with this opinion piece.
Well, the interesting thing is, right after I finished it, Moody's came out and downgraded the United States debt.
Yeah.
And they weren't the first. Standard & Poor's did it in 2011.
I know. It was quite some time ago. I was surprised to learn that. It was like almost 15 years ago. Well, Moody's is the last of the three.
The last of the three. I remember the shock that followed Standard & Poor's. And so it is a big deal. You think, well, markets will correct and it'll all kind of even out, but it ought to be a wake-up call. I mean, we are the world's reserve currency. It's very important that we keep our fiscal house in order.
Well, Moody's did this because probably for a lot of different reasons, but because of the concern about our spending and the money that's going out the door.
Well, and they were not convinced that Congress was capable, or was willing, I should say, to reduce overspending. And anybody who observes them, I think, would agree that that's true. So Republicans and virtually, and I interview every candidate for office every 2 years, every candidate for Congress and for the Senate. They all say this is a big problem. We need to reduce spending. We need to erase the deficit. We need to quit piling up. Our national debt is now approaching $37 trillion. But then nothing ever happens. And so President Trump releases a budget proposal that Republicans are currently wrangling over. It would actually add to the debt and it depends on the estimate, by about $3.5 trillion. But built into that estimate is an assumption that all of this will expire at the end of the Trump term, that it has a sunset on it. These things generally don't expire, but that makes it look in the 10-year forecast like it's better than it probably will be. And the Yale University looked at this and said, if it doesn't expire, it'll be a $5 trillion addition to the debt instead of $3.5 trillion. And so this is why some Republicans are holding out in Washington right now. But
they had a hard time. The Republicans had a hard time getting this out of the House Budget Committee because there were a few more of the conservative Republicans in the party who said, no, this does not cut deep enough. And some of the like the Medicaid and some of the issues really that concerned them weren't really going to start taking effect, like the work requirements, until 2029, I think, if I recall. So they tried to stand their ground, but eventually I think they all voted present. So it allowed that bill to move forward.
Right. And you really if you're going to balance the budget, you have to attack the biggest spending items: Social Security, Medicare, the military. Medicaid is up there too, but it bothers me a little bit that it's kind of the easiest one to attack because it affects the poor, who generally don't storm the Capitol building and demand things.
Yeah, maybe we're not even in a position to reach out to lawmakers,
right?
You know because they're working, or they just don't have they don't have the access to lawmakers that lobbyists do. Certainly, a lot of us don't have that kind of access. But what does real reform look like? Is that having the hard conversation about things like Social Security in particular?
Right.
But we don't want to have that conversation because it affects our parents and it affects our grandparents.
Well, people like my age who subscribe to the AARP magazine. I mean, AARP is a huge lobbying force in Washington. They don't want to have to face them. These are people who vote. But there are things that you can do to Social Security to make that program solvent in the long term. There's currently a cap on if you earn over $160,000 a year, approximately, that nothing is taxed for Social Security.
You don't get money after that. You don't get anything taken out of your paycheck once you hit that threshold.
Right.
Well, I would think in today's day and age, in 2025, we've got plenty of Americans that are making well over that.
Yes.
Who, if that threshold was increased, might not really even notice that money was missing from their
increased or maybe remove the cap entirely. And this is something polls have shown both Republicans and Democrats favor. You could also means test. So if you earn above a certain amount, you don't get the full Social Security benefits.
Well, don't we already do that though? Like if you are, you're saying younger generations, you have a means test or an income test, I guess, when you're collecting Social Security.
Right.
But you're saying back that means test up even for younger, for the younger generation, or in our 60s.
I think whatever reforms you make have to apply mostly to the younger generation, so they have time to prepare for it. You can't. It's not really fair to say to today's 50-plus group that we're changing the rules and it's too late for you to adapt to them. So the other thing that creates a lot of discussion is whether we should allow for private investments of Social Security funds. So in other words, you can choose, just like with your 401k, to put your Social Security contribution into a stock portfolio, for example. And there are a lot of people that support that and say, look, over time, that would give you a lot more money and would cost taxpayers a lot less. But then there are others who say, well, what if the stock market collapses when you're getting ready to retire? It's the same thing we face with our 401ks.
Yeah, I've thought about this a lot since reading your opinion piece, Jay Evenson with the Deseret News. America needs real fiscal reform, and I have to consistently lean into Social Security, and getting that entitlement program fixed. And I don't have all the answers for it. I mean, it's been barreling toward this fiscal cliff for as long as I can remember. I think when I was in grade school, they were like, "You're not going to have Social Security when you get to be in your 60s. Well, I'm 58 now, and I may have it. I guess it sounds like I will have it. But I've often thought that the earnings cap, that's far too low, especially for 2025. I've also felt like in retirement, maybe there's a means test. Look, if you're sitting on your piles of millions and you don't need Social Security, is there some sort of test we can implement there that would be fair? Although what just came out of my mouth sounds completely unfair. It's like just because I made good investments along the way, or I sacrificed, my last penny to get my family that home that increased in equity. I didn't know that was going to happen, so I took this risk. But yeah, it's just like, is there something that we can do, but to make it work, that it sounds fair, but we've got to do it quickly, in my view.
Well, we do, and you remember, and we're approximately the same age. I'm a little older, But I've heard those warnings as well when I was a child.
sure.
But we had a deal. Reagan and Tip O'Neill made a deal in the 80s that actually kept Social Security solvent much longer. And part of that deal is the reason I have to keep working until 66.
Oh, they
and
upped
10
the
months.
age.
They upped the retirement age. You could certainly do that again. But I think to put this in some perspective, so Elon Musk and Doge made a lot of slashes and cuts to what we call discretionary spending. Well, you could cut $1.6 trillion from discretionary spending if you cut all discretionary spending. That doesn't even take care of our annual deficit, which is now over $2 trillion. So you absolutely have to attack these other politically sensitive programs. You have to cut the military or somehow audit it and make it more efficient. You have to cut Medicare and Social Security. No politician wants to do that because it's going to be very painful and it could cost them the reelection.
Jay Evenson, so great to talk to you as always. Jay Evenson of the Deseret News. He's the opinion editor. You can read his latest opinion pieces at Deseret.com. Straight ahead, speaking of saving money, there's a college in Wyoming hoping to entice students from Utah to go to college in Wyoming. So we're going to talk about what they're doing to do this. In part, it has to do with ditching out-of-state tuition. So if you live out of state and you move there, you pay in-state tuition. We're going to speak to them live next.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
GoPave Utah has 5-star reviews for asphalt, concrete, paving, and striping repairs. Schedule a free consultation today. GoPaveUtah.com.
Dave and Debbie.
It's impossible to digest and consume all of the news that's now coming at us through either social media.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Would you send your high school senior for a college tour to see if they want to attend a college in Sheridan, Wyoming? Because the college there has just done something I think is unique. It's fascinating. We're going to speak to two people from the college in just a moment. The president of the college is live on the line, and also the VP of Public Information are going to walk us through why they're doing this, how much it's going to save Utah students if they choose to go to college in Sheridan. But what they've done in a nutshell is they have stripped the out-of-state tuition requirement. And if you've ever taken your high school senior or junior on a tour to a college out of state and they fall in love with this campus, and then you ask the question, how much is this going to cost me? We live out of state. We don't know. We've never lived here. We don't plan on moving here. We just want to send our daughter or our son here. And you find out it's $10,000 or $20,000 a year more, you immediately turn to your child and between your teeth, you're like, let's get out of here. We can't afford this. I've had this experience firsthand. My youngest, she wanted to go to a college in Colorado. It was a beautiful campus, absolutely lovely. We toured it, and then I found out how much this is going to set us back financially. And I'm like, do you think we're made of gold? So we couldn't send her there. We could not afford to send her there. And I think that happens quite a lot to families. Like, there's a lot of benefit you can see in sending your child out of state for a number of different reasons. Maybe that college has a specific program they'd be interested in. Maybe you just want to give them the experience of living away from home. So what Sheridan College has done, I don't know if you're the first one through the wall or not, but let's talk to the president of the college. Good morning, President Tribbley. It's Tribbley. Good to talk to you.
Hi, actually, this is Wendy Smith.
Oh, Wendy, I'm sorry.
Dr. Trebley. No, you're fine. Dr. Trebley had to just step out. He'll be back in just one moment.
Okay, great. Hi, Wendy.
We're happy to be here.
Yeah.
Hello, Debbie.
Yeah, thanks for joining me. I think this is a fascinating concept, and especially if you've ever looked at a tuition rate for colleges for your kids. Anytime you can get what you think is a deal, it definitely would interest me. So. What walk us back a little bit. How did this all come to be, and how much is the rate going to be for out-of-state students?
You bet. So, first and foremost, let me just say that we want our students to be able to attend school, and hopefully the goal is graduate debt-free. No student wants to be saddled with a bunch of debt as they head out into the world. And Dr. Trebley just walked back in the room too, so I have our president here.
Hi.
Hi. I'm sorry I had to step away.
No, we get it. I totally understand. So thanks. We're just talking to Wendy about why the college went in this direction and what the rates are going to be. So why don't you fill in those blanks for us, President Trebley?
What the rates will be?
Yeah, what the out-of-state, what the new rates will be for out-of-state students.
Absolutely. So for 2 semesters, 1 full year, 15 credits per semester of tuition and fees will be $4,830. And if they stay in the dorms for that same period of time, it'll be $5,992. That's double occupancy in a room in our top meal plan.
So about $6,000 a school year? Or
for room and board.
Oh, all in.
All in room and board, and then $4,800 roughly all in tuition and fees.
What was the reason for eliminating the out-of-state tuition requirement for out-of-state students?
Absolutely. So we have many reasons why we're doing this. In the state of Wyoming, we're looking at losing our young people. About 50% of the people in Wyoming age 18 to 30, according to the Harvard Growth Lab, leave the state, and we want to mitigate that. We live in a beautiful community here in Sheridan. We have a booming manufacturing industry. We have wonderful healthcare facilities and a hospital in town. Our job, one of our roles is to provide workers for them. And so we are using the college and the opportunity to get a great education in a beautiful outdoor spot to then bring in workers. Part of our role in the community is to provide trained workers. So we're looking for people that want to come in, live in a beautiful arts community, participate in outdoor recreation, and even get a part-time job while they're going to school here. Would be great.
Wendy Smith also on the line. She's the VP of Public Information. Wendy, have you had any interest since announcing this? And I think it starts this fall, right? This newer, lower tuition rate for all out-of-state students? Okay.
That's correct. Fall of 25 is when we're kicking it off. And absolutely, we're seeing a lot of interest, especially from students in surrounding states. So that would, we sit in north central Wyoming. We're very close to Montana. We're right at the base of the Bighorn Mountains. And so we have a lot of interest from students, in Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Utah, Colorado, Nebraska, and even beyond. This, as Dr. Trebley said, our campus is beautiful. We have over 60 programs for students to choose from, including nursing and dental hygiene. We have welding and diesel and everything in between. Some robust arts programs. It really is an incredible location with an opportunity to save money. You can get, again, it's all in, everything for a year here. If you're going to live on campus and eat great food in our campus center, is going to cost you less than $11,000.
Okay, so I'm not sure though. In Utah, a lot of students would have thought about Sheridan, Wyoming. So does this new tuition rate, is it a selling point? Has it been a selling point? Yeah.
We think it is. We didn't do any targeted analysis in the state of Utah, for example. What we simply looked at is that the in-state tuition is $105 per credit. That is a sufficient amount. We are scholarshiping the rest, treating all students the same. Many people come to Wyoming and live here from other states. So we just decided to take care and scholarship the out-of-state portion and hopefully reduce the cost as a barrier, if that makes sense. If cost is a barrier for a student from any state, including Utah, we'd like to reduce it as much as we feel is ethical and responsible to do, and that is to bring it down, scholarship it down to the in-state rate.
Okay. Well, we'll touch base with you once this starts. I'd love to hear how it's going and see how many Utah students, this attracts. Have you had any calls from like the Utah Department of Higher Ed on this, or are they concerned that you're poaching the students from Utah? Have you heard from them?
I have not heard from them, but if they call, I would certainly engage in that conversation. It's not our intention to do any harm to Utah, but it is important that we reduce the barriers to education all throughout the United States.
Well, thank you so much. That's the president of Sheridan College, Walter Tribely, live on the line, along with his VP of Public Information, Wendy Smith, about a new move that they've made there, and that's starting in the fall of this year, and that is to eliminate the cost of out-of-state tuition for out-of-state students. I think it's bold. It's a bold move. We'll see if it pays off. We'll see how many Utah students bite. If they want to go live in Sheridan, Wyoming for a couple of years and check out the different programs they have there. We'll continue to track that story and see how that develops when this new school year starts in the fall. Straight ahead, I am so excited about this. A new KSL podcast launching today. It's called Uinta Triangle. If you love the Uinta Mountains like I do, and you love hiking, you will certainly appreciate the story of Eric Robinson. Our very own investigative reporter, Dave Cawley, has launched this new podcast starting today. I listened to most of episode 1 on my drive in. He's just fabulous, the way he writes, the way he talks about these stories. And Dave is joining me next to walk us through our latest podcast here. It's called Uinta Triangle.
The KSL Movie Show comes to Fat Cats in Clinton, 2062 West, 1800 North, this Friday from 10 to 1. Starting in June at Fat Cats, bring the family for the Flashback Summer Series, featuring classic movies back on the big screen with easy summer pricing. Just $5 per ticket to see favorites like The Goonies, Top Gun, and Karate Kid. Fat Cats flashback movies run Monday through Thursday nights all summer long. Relive great movie moments from back in the day while you relax in their all-luxury recliner theaters. Order handmade pizzas, burgers, or salad from the Fat Cats Grill, and they'll deliver it right to your seat at no extra charge. Fat Cats always makes it a premium movie experience at a price families can afford. Fat Cat Cinemas in Clinton, Bluffdale, and Saratoga Springs. Learn more about a Fat Cats experience at fatcatsfun.com. That's fatcatsfun.com.
Hey, it's Mike Rohn. If I have a choice, I like to do business with companies that actually stand for something. That's why I switched from Verizon to Pure Talk. No offense to Verizon, I'm sure they stand for something. I just don't know what it is. Pure Talk, on the other hand, is a veteran-owned company that supports our military in a big way, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I also appreciate unlimited talk and text and plenty of data for half the cost of the big guys, and I do like being on America's most dependable 5G network for just $20 a month. But What I really appreciate is no contract, no cancellation fees, and Pure Talk's commitment to handle all their customer service in this country. I saw it for myself. I went to Georgia, I got a tour of their headquarters, I met their CEO, and I talked to the same customer service folks that you'll talk to when you dial pound 250 and say keyword micro. Switch today and save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword micro. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
Hey, it's Brian with Olson's Greenhouse. In today's busy world, your home should be your sanctuary, a peaceful retreat where you can unwind, breathe deeply, and recharge. And what better way to create that haven than with flowers? A pop of color in your flower beds, a cheerful container garden by the front door, or a lush patio filled with vibrant blooms can transform any space into a personal oasis. Flowers don't just brighten up your home, they lift your spirits too. Research even shows that surrounding yourself with plants can reduce stress and boost happiness. At Olson's Greenhouse, we grow premium quality plants that make it easy to bring beauty and joy into your life. Whether you prefer bold, eye-catching colors or soft, soothing pastels, we have the perfect flowers to complement your space. And with locally grown plants, you know they're ready to thrive. This spring, create a sanctuary of color and comfort with flowers from Olson's Greenhouse. Find us on Instagram at Olson's Greenhouse Gardens or go to OGG.com to find a retailer near you. That's OGG.com for Olson's Greenhouse Gardens.
Did you hear? A recent stash of $10 gold Liberty coins from the 1800s has been found. These gorgeous gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck in the late 1800s, and less than 200 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling this gold find an incredible opportunity. Call 1-800-917-4635, and you are guaranteed a $10 gold Liberty coin minted by the U.S. Mint in the 1800s. But with extremely limited availability, you must call now. These gold Liberty coins from the 1800s are still in uncirculated condition. That is history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-917-4635. Call now and you'll receive a free American Coin Collector's Bonus Package, a $40 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-917-4635 now to secure your $10 gold Liberty coins dated from the 1800s before they sell out. That's 1-800-917-4635.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Becky Bruce. KSL's top story this hour. Breaking news, Unified Fire crews are on the scene of an active house fire in Magna. It's near 30th South and 90th West. We're monitoring the situation there and we'll bring you updates as soon as we can. In other news this hour, prosecutors say a West Valley City man abused his teen son over a period of 4 years. The father is facing 4 counts of felony aggravated abuse. We're not naming him to protect the son's privacy. According to charging documents, the father's accused of serious physical abuse, including hitting his son in the head with a board that had a nail in it and kicking him in the face with steel-toed boots. The teen is staying with family. Prosecutors want the father held without bail. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. It was an inside job. That's what police and prosecutors say about last week's New Orleans jailbreak.
As a jail maintenance worker, Sterling Williams had the means to shut off the water to a cell block toilet so it could be pulled off the wall. That allowed 10 men to escape. But what about motive?
Greed, avarice, friendship.
Orleans District Attorney Jason Williams isn't sure what motivated the jail employee to aid in an escape.
All I can tell you is he made a bad choice. It's going to change his life forever.
Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Your money at this moment, the Dow is down about 97 points this hour. The S&P 500 down 15, NASDAQ down about 37. Coming up, how soon will summer weather show back up? KSL Weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:01.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Break your spring break routine and make your way into a unique balance of outdoor adventure and arts. In Cedar City and Bryan Head, you'll be greeted with stunning views combined with the most epic trails at Cedar Breaks or Three Peaks Recreation Area. Recreation enthusiasts, we're talking to you. Visit Parowan's Evil Water Bike Trails, Thor's Hammer, and Kolob Canyon to take the ride and hikes of your life. The trip wouldn't be complete without one of the scenic drives and byways in the region to experience breathtaking overlooks and magical views. That's not all. Cedar City is known as Festival City, USA, hosting dozens of events including free music festivals, parades, farmers markets, and more. But make sure to spend a little time in their historic downtown, lined with quaint shops, eateries, and museums. So break away to the vibrant and welcoming communities of Bryan Head and Cedar City. Plan your visit today at cedarcity.com. That's cedarcity.com.
This is Christian Staples with Arctic Spas. It is time for our annual spring clearance sale at Arctic Spas. Tons of hot tubs, swim spas, all-weather pools, saunas, and cold tubs all on sale at up to $7,500 off. Yes, up to $7,500 off. Just in time for the summer fun to begin. Plus, we have a few models left over from last year, like an Arctic Spa Polaris, a 7-foot by 7-foot with 40 massaging jets, 2 pumps, ozone water purification, UV water purification, multicolored LED lights, and a waterfall, now discounted to $89.95. Swim spas starting out at $19,995. This brings a pool to your backyard all year long, but especially for the family fun this summer. Comfort and convenience is on sale with our automated saltwater system. Or save even more with almost new refurbished Arctic Spas from years past. Start out online at arcticspasutah.com to pick out your favorite spa. Then stop by one of our 3 Arctic Spa stores covering all of Utah: Salt Lake, American Fork, and St. George. Arctic Spas, the only spa built for Utah's harsh climate.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
If you've got a honey-do list with electrical, plumbing, heating, or air conditioning projects on it, Any Hour Services can help. Call Any Hour Services. Electrical, plumbing, heating, and air. AnyHourServices.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Here's Heather Kelly.
We do have a couple of accidents on the board. They're both in Utah County. One of them is northbound I-15 right at the exit ramp to University Parkway in Orem. It's over on the right shoulder and not causing any type of delay on main flow. There's also one on a city street. It's in Highland. This is eastbound Timpanogos Highway at 6000 West. It too is on a right shoulder, again, not causing any delays in the area. In fact, traffic is flowing pretty well on any roadway you want to travel right now. Refresh your carpet with True Rinse Carpet Cleaning. Get 3 rooms professionally cleaned for $119. Schedule today, get 4th room free. TrueRinse.com or 801-226-6827. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Partly sunny this afternoon with a high of 71. Tomorrow, just a bit warmer, but by Wednesday afternoon, we're back in the 80s. Right now, it's partly cloudy, almost 60 degrees in downtown Salt Lake City. I'm Becky Bruce from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
This new podcast that dropped this morning called You Went to Triangle, investigative reporter, producer, all things, investigative hiker, Dave Cawley is at the center of this podcast. I listened to about 30 minutes or so of the very first episode. So here's how the next 20 minutes is going to go. I'm going to play about a 1-minute trailer of this brand new podcast that dropped this morning. It's a KSL podcast, and it is about a hiker. His name is Eric Robinson. And for a lot of reasons, Dave Cawley has latched on to Eric's story. And one reason is from the very beginning is he's a reporter here at KSL News Radio when this story bubbles up many years ago. And Dave will walk us through that in just a moment. He's live in studio with me. So let me start here. Let me start with this. We're going to play this trailer. We're going to talk to Dave about the podcast, the first 2 episodes that dropped today. And then we're also going to come out on the other side and talk about, with Memorial Day weekend and summer hitting, hiker safety in the Utah mountains.
Eric Robinson loved a long walk.
He couldn't help himself. That's where he wanted to be.
From the heights of the Himalayas to the ice fields of Patagonia.
It was steep, it was rocky, it was imposing.
From the Sierra Nevada to the Scottish Highlands.
Wasn't afraid to be out on his own.
Eric found peace on mountain paths.
His mantra was, I'm going to do as many walks as I can for as long as I can carry a backpack.
But when this Australian trekker traveled solo to an obscure corner of the American West,
Eric goes, I'm going to go and do this trail, right? You go, yeah, okay, off you go.
He disappeared into the wilderness of the high Uinta Mountains.
I remember thinking, Eric, what were you thinking, mate?
Dave Colley in studio with me right now. The first 30 minutes for me was gripping, and I'm excited to get back in my car, my drive home, and listen to the rest of the episode 1 and then episode 2. So I just want to listen to you tell us why you chose this story about Eric and walk us through what you can walk us through at this point without giving the whole thing away.
Yeah, that's such a weird place to be as a journalist, right? Because my whole career is yours as well, is we want to rush and get you all the information right now, everything that we know. And this is a little different because we are a serial style podcast. It's going to play out over time, so I know more than I'm going to say right now. But what I will tell you is this project is something I've been working on for years. The story of Eric Robinson's disappearance in the Uinta Mountains is deeply personal to me, but I also think it touches on so many themes that will resonate with people here in Utah. Those of us who especially like to hike, whether it's in the Wasatch, the Uinta, down in the desert, wherever it is. I think we have all had these conversations with people in our lives about the safety and how we approach what will you do if something goes wrong. The Uinta Triangle story really focuses on 2011, Eric Robinson comes to Utah to hike the Uinta Highline Trail. He's going to do it alone. He doesn't come out the other end. As I experienced as a journalist covering the story, as the days began to pile up after he disappeared, there was a sense of, if we don't find him now, we're never going to find him. And there are good examples of that I can point to. Garrett Bardsley, 2004, 12-year-old kid, disappears in the Kubernetes Basin. He's never been found, right? Just
a year before that, two women,
Kim Beverly and Carol Weatherton. So a lot of these stories, you covered them, as did I.
Well, those mountains they're beautiful, but they will swallow people up because of a number of factors. But the weather is one that can change, and that's what happened to that mother and daughter who had stopped and they were doing a hike and they were taking photos. And I believe, if I recall, you probably remember more than I do about that, is the weather changed on them. And they again did not come out, and it took quite some time to find their bodies. So I don't want to take us in that direction, but I think a lot of us can relate to Garrett Bardsley never being found. And then that mother and daughter, I think it was the year before that, or a year and a half before
you're
that.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So continue, please.
Yeah. No, you and I were talking in the break before coming on air here about, everybody's got a story.
Oh, I know.
And we could sit here all day and go back and forth. And for me, as somebody who loves hearing and telling stories, that's where I live, right? This is a story that really, though, for me, kind of rose above the others. And I don't mean to say that in a way that puts down anybody else, but the human drama of Marilyn, Eric's wife, and her experience here in Utah, and what we collectively, she and I, and other people associated with the story have experienced in the last few years as I've dug into it and reported on it, it just turned into something really special. There is that mystery element to this story. So even though it's not true crime like the Cold podcast, where a lot of people probably recognize me from Cold, this is not a murder investigation, but it is a missing persons case. And we are digging to get answers about what happened to Eric in these mountains. And along the way, we're going to talk about those other cases and hopefully leave somebody who listens to this story with a deeper appreciation of this place that I love, and hopefully they can share in that love as well.
Are you willing to get into just a little bit, give us a taste of what episode 1 and 2 are about without giving too much away?
For sure. So the first 2 episodes of You Went to Triangle just dropped this morning. They're free anywhere you like to listen, if that's Apple Podcasts or wherever. And they're about an hour a piece, and we don't start where you might think the story starts, which is Eric disappearing here. I take you back to another experience where Eric was overdue in New Zealand. He was on a solo trek to a place called Cascade Saddle, and he didn't come out. And so that really sets up this tension between Eric and his wife because of what happens in New Zealand. And I'm not going to spoil, there is a pretty dramatic surprise in these first 2 episodes about what he experiences in New Zealand. But it sparks this conversation of, Eric, you can't keep going out and doing this by yourself. You can't keep going out alone. And his insistence that he's going to do it and he can do it safely. I've had those same conversations, right? I went to New Zealand and I retraced Eric's steps on this trek to understand, how challenging was it? What were the dangers that he faced? And how did that affect the people who cared about him when he didn't come back from that?
I can only imagine. Well, and you and I, as journalists who've stood at the side of mountains with family members gathering, I can think of like lost snowmobilers, for example. I covered a story on some snowmobilers who went into the backcountry, and this is gonna. I don't remember exactly what they had with them, but it was like a couple of Snicker bars between a couple of the guys. They just seemed like they just didn't go out with enough stuff to eat, and their family members just fearing the worst. That's one of many both covered here's news stories over the decades that we've been journalists here, where when I was listening to your interview, because you flew there to meet with his wife.
That's right.
And it sounded like she was very grateful that you were there.
I would say it took us a long time to get to that point. So Marilyn Coolstra and I literally talked many times over the phone or in emails for years before I finally reached the point where I said, look, the only way to do this right is I need to come and meet you. Mm-hmm. I need to meet you face to face. And she and I spent 2 weeks where all we did every day was sit down and talk. And she let me dig into, the deep stuff about her relationship with her husband that we don't normally get to hear. It's very personal, right?
Yeah, I can sense that.
And she was very much open book in a way that I appreciated. That was a huge show of trust, I think, on her part in me and in KSL to tell this story in a way that's responsible, right? We don't want to be hyping up the danger. There is risk. We're going to address it, but we want to do honor to what she experienced and hopefully bring listeners, both Utah listeners, I want to take you to Australia, and listeners in Australia, I want to take you to the Uintas. We're gonna do both of those things.
Yeah. Dave Cawley in studio with me right now. A new podcast that he produced. He narrates. He's the investigative reporter here. You've known from Cold Podcast, the award-winning podcast. It's called You Went to Triangle. First 2 episodes dropped this morning. I got a chance to listen to about 30 minutes of the first one before I pulled into the parking lot here at Broadcast House. You do such a fabulous job telling the story and taking us on this journey. I've already reached out to my son who has done a solo hike in the past. I'm like, you got to listen to this. So I'm going to send him the episodes when we get off the air. But can you stick around?
Absolutely.
I know you're busy promoting this today. Do you mind sticking around for just a few minutes?
Nowhere
with me?
I would rather be.
Okay, awesome. So we're going to bring in Captain Chase Peelies with the Utah Department of Natural Resources. He's with the Law Enforcement Division. I think it's appropriate, based on this episode or this podcast dropping today, Captain, to talk about solo hiking and solo hiking safety. I'm not here to chastise anybody for solo hiking. I have solo hiked, and frankly, it makes me nervous when I do it. So maybe you're here to chastise me for that.
No, certainly not. Definitely some other risks that you would just probably need to mitigate. I for one enjoy solo hikes as well. I just also take into account of some of the limitations that may present. So for sure, enjoy the outdoors, but just know your risks in all those associations going into it. So definitely having a buddy would help. Maybe get you further and have some other enjoyable aspects for that. But everyone needs some peace and quiet too. So
how do you think about technology as a matter of safety? One of the things that I encountered, reporting on the Eric Robinson story was a conversation about an emergency beacon, carrying a device that you could summon help if you got lost or if you're injured. And I know the technology has changed a lot in the last number of years, capabilities wise. How do you talk to people who want to go out and recreate about, what should they think about carrying as far as that type of device?
Yes. So it's done a couple things. It's giving the opportunity to probably get a little bit further, maybe take a little bit more of a less of an assumed risk when you're going out on hikes with the technology such as GPS beacons, some of those satellite messaging applications, and some of those definitely help you. But it also puts people in the places maybe they haven't been in the past. And we've seen that recently in the last 2 to 5 years with that increase in technology where people are actually able to get out there. It's also created some increased call loads for our search and rescue partners with our sheriff's office, and our agency helps out with some of those resources as well to make sure that they're safe. So we do get some more notifications, but people are being more cautious and doing some other preparations. So kind of that double-edged sword with the technology, the GPS apps. I certainly use those as well as the satellite messaging to let my loved ones know before I go out where to expect me. And so it's also helped increase some efficiency with our agencies where we haven't been able to get out as far as we have in the past, because we know people are out there recreating, and we love that they're recreating, but we also want them safe while they're doing that as well.
Yeah, I text a few family members that I know are going to be on high alert. You can't text somebody who is going to be napping all afternoon and maybe going to bed early, because if you don't come out of the other side of that hike and nobody's paying attention to the fact that you're overdue, that becomes a problem. So I make sure my surveillance posse is well aware of when I'm going in, when I'm expected back, and when I'm actually physically expected back home too. So they're all in the know on that. Again, taking enough supplies in case I do get stuck overnight. I did have this experience once. It sounded like such a simple and lovely hike. My problem was I started it too late, and it's just up Big Cottonwood Canyon. It was going over to, I think, Twin Lakes or something. But you know what happens at night? The trail disappears, and it looks like a much different trail than it looks during the daylight. So I think when you're out doing these solo hikes, you not only have to make sure you're notifying people who you are going to be able to trust to notice that you're not back yet, you got to make sure you prepare, at least in my view, maybe you have different advice, Captain, in case you get stuck for some unforeseen reason, like maybe even twist an ankle and you can't get back out.
Exactly. I love a plan A, but I sometimes really rely on plans B, C, D, and so forth. So to have some of those adjustments ready to go, such as you're having extra snacks and extra water and extra clothing in case you do have to spend a night out there. It kind of eases the mind, too, when you know how to use those things. I've had some learning lessons in the past, and I've had some abilities to message friends and family where I may have been out there a little bit longer than I wanted to. However, I let them know I was okay and that I would be back within the next couple hours instead of 20 to 30 minutes. So as long as you have those contingency plans and you know that you for certain can put those in place, those are some things, especially when you're solo. They're also helpful with a buddy as well, that they know some of those side plans. And a lot of times those can help you either reduce the need for extra rescue services and put a lot of people's minds at ease, especially your family, the ones that are most worried about you while you're on the trail.
Captain Chase Peely with the Utah Department of Natural Resources. He's with the Law Enforcement Division. Thank you so much for jumping on the line with us as we talked to Dave Cawley about launching this brand new podcast. You went to Triangle. Do you have any takeaways? Because you hike solo.
Sure.
Like, you're more of like an extreme solo hiker.
I'm not extreme.
I'm a little wimpy. I'm
No.
like, I'm going to be up Big Cottonwood Canyon.
So it's funny because I do this podcast to talk about hiking, and there are people who are far more experienced hikers than I am. I am not an extreme athlete, but that's great advice, right, from the captain about leaving the plan and having the ability to communicate if the plan changes. The thought that goes through my mind is, of course, I never want to be in a position of needing to fire that emergency signal, but we are so blessed here in Utah that we have in every county across the state amazing volunteer, for the most part, search and rescue personnel who at the drop of a hat will go out and try to help whoever it is that gets into trouble. I think we all have a responsibility when we go out into the backcountry to do everything we can to avoid needing that help, but it's great to know it's there if we do.
Well, and what do you think about this advice? I mean, I guess it's not advice, it's just my perspective. If you get into trouble, call for help. Like, if you try to wind your way out, I've covered stories of, probably you have too, where people get themselves into deeper trouble or they ledge out. So
it's tricky to know because everyone comes at it with a different comfort level. Where I get so sketched out that I feel unsafe is going to be different than somebody else's. But certainly what we don't want to have is somebody who, especially if they're out alone or they get in a situation where they're separated from their party, whatever it is, and they think, well, I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to scare people. I'm not going to hit the button. If you are in that situation where you feel unsafe and the difference is potentially not making it home, for Pete's sake, hit the button.
Hit the button. Okay, people have to know where to find your podcast. I found it for free on a couple of different platforms. So it's out there on numerous platforms. Tell us where.
Yep. So the first 2 episodes of You Into Triangle are out right now. For anyone who's wondering how to spell that, UINTA Triangle. It's on Apple Podcasts or wherever, Spotify, whatever. You can also visit our website, youintotriangle.com.
I entered UI and it popped up.
That's perfect.
So I followed it. I followed it on multiple platforms. Dave Cawley, congratulations on yet another very successful podcast. I think this will also help a lot of people, which I know is one of your goals.
I hope so, and it's as much as it's an investigation into this mystery, it's also in some ways my love letter to the Uinta Mountains, and I am grateful to share it.
The main character in every news story is a real person.
I want people who listen to Midday to listen to the show and think it is about them. They're hearing a story that touches them in some way.
The main character in every news story is you.
Whether it is their pocketbook, whether it is their child's safety, people should hear something that is more thought-provoking.
Midday with Maria Chaleos. All new noon to 3 on KSL News Radio.
Hello, Utah. I'm Josh with IWC Roofing. For over 25 years, my family has been safeguarding your homes with the finest roofing solutions. We value your time, and we're committed to replacing most roofs in just one day with a peace of mind 50-year shingle warranty. Call us today at 801-232-5690 or visit iwcroofingutah.com. Ask us for the $1,500 off any full roof replacement. Financing available, 801-232-5690. Utah homeowners, look no further than IWC Roofing for a roof that stands the test of time. With 25 years of excellence, IWC is your trusted family-owned roofing expert. At IWC, we offer one-day roof replacements with top-tier quality materials, all with a 50-year shingle warranty. To keep a leaky roof from dampening your day, we're offering $1,500 off a full roof replacement. Get a free estimate. Call 801-232-5690 or visit iwcroofingutah.com. 801-232-5690.
When is the optimal time to file for Social Security that could help you get every penny that is rightfully yours? Get the answer in a free report, your guide to filing for Social Security in 2025 and beyond. It's from Boss Retirement Solutions, who's helped tens of thousands of families get the most out of their benefits. If you've saved more than $200,000 and have not filed for Social Security, get your free report now by calling 801-251-1046. Timing, taxes, spousal benefits. This free report details the most critical things you must consider that could help you get the most income from your Social Security benefits today. Get this free report right now by calling 801-251-1046. That number again, 801-251-1046.
Boss Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the Social Security Administration.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer? Can we sleep cooler? Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. It's the Sleep Number Everything Smart Bed sale. Every smart bed and base are on sale during our Memorial Day event. Up to 50% off, plus free home delivery. Limited time. Exclusively to Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
Summer is almost here. It's time to get in the best shape of your life with Soda Weight Loss.
Hey there.
You're looking good.
My name is Corey Sulian. My wife and I began our Soda weight loss journey on January 20th of this year. We have seen some amazing results. I have lost 59.4 pounds. My wife lost 30.3 pounds, and we feel great.
It's time to spring into summer with Soda Weight Loss, because right now you'll get our biggest discount of the year.
Every single day, Soda Weight Loss is helping people let go of the weight without drugs, without hunger, and the weight stays off.
I love Soda Weight Loss. Thank you for helping to change our lives. I highly recommend it for anybody who wants to lose weight or get healthy.
Get started now at sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com.
Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott, KSL's top story this hour. And we have breaking news here on KSL News Radio. The Roy Police Department says 4 Roy police officers have been placed on leave after a call at Snowbird that is now being investigated as a sexual assault. We are following the investigation and will provide updates as we get them. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The FDA is out with new guidance on COVID vaccines.
The FDA now says COVID booster shots will need to go through a stricter approvals process before certain Americans can get them. The new guidance would require vaccine makers to subject their shots to randomized, placebo-controlled trials, which pharmaceutical companies say will add time and cost to vaccine distribution. FDA officials say the move is in line with how European governments handle vaccine approvals, and that between 100 and 200 million people will still be eligible for the shot. Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 97 points. The S&P is down 16. And coming up, warm temps and sunny skies. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
You know, we've been telling you a lot about Mountain Home Services, and now is the perfect time to call. As the weather's warming up and you have to get, maybe your air conditioning unit needs a little tweak. Maybe you've had something go wrong with your heating in the last couple of days. You're like, what is going on with this? Mountain Home Services. That's who you need to call. They can work on your air conditioning, your HVAC, plumbing, your electrical, and it all comes with that upfront pricing guarantee, which means that the price they quote you when the job starts or before the job starts is the price you pay when the job is done. No hidden fees. And it also comes with a 100% satisfaction guarantee. So you want to give them a call today and ask about the special offer for KSL listeners. That's right. So call, ask about that special offer for KSL listeners. The phone number is 801-543-2222. Again, 801-543-2222. Of course, you can always look them up online as well at mountainhomeservices.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Here's Ricky Meese.
We are looking at a quiet drive once again on your Salt Lake County and Valley freeways. The earlier accident we had northbound I-15 in Lehigh in Utah County, no longer a problem. In fact, we have good speeds north and southbound I-15 between Ogden and Provo. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
A high of 77 today with partly cloudy skies. After that, the sun stays out. We'll see highs in the 80s on Thursday with temps lingering right around there into next week. Right now, it is 59 and partly cloudy. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio. Priced Out, housing, special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
Is it just weird that lately when I wake up in the morning and I go to bed at night, I'm like, I wonder where the housing market's going to end up in the next few years? I feel that because I think about my kids. Will they be able to afford a home here in Utah, or at least somewhere around the Wasatch Front? I think about myself as I head off into retirement. Like, what is the best housing situation for me? But with the way home prices are going, I was not surprised to see that, according to Wallet Hub's latest survey that just dropped this morning, we are not, here in Salt Lake City, the most affordable city in America to buy a home. I mean, no, that honor belongs to Flint, Michigan. No, I'm not kidding you. It belongs to Flint, Michigan. They are the most affordable city in the nation of the 300 cities that Wallet Hub surveyed. They're the most affordable. I also looked up what their homes are valued at, and it's right around $63,000. And that's down from last year. So their home prices are going down, while in general, home prices along the Wasatch Front keep going up and up and up. We talked to Wallet Hub earlier in the show because I want to ask him, about this survey, which Salt Lake City is on as well. We are, however, as I said, nowhere near the top. We are the 107th most affordable city in America, according to this survey. So we're at 107, right behind Vancouver, Washington, and just ahead of Orlando, Florida. But I asked Chip Lupo, who was an analyst for Wallet Hub, when he called the show, I'm like, what gives with this survey? Because personally, I don't know of a single person in my life who's ever said to me, you know where I really want to live? Yeah, my goal is to just pack up the family, get the U-Haul on the road, and we're driving north straight to Flint, Michigan. And then Chip said this.
Flint, Michigan, Detroit, Michigan, Pittsburgh. I heard you mentioning Pittsburgh off here. Now, affordable doesn't always mean desirable. Okay. Now, if you're in an area in which most of your houses are pretty cheap, there's usually a reason for that.
Yeah.
A lot of times, and these three are examples. These are Pittsburgh is coming up now. I heard Caitlin mention how I believe a house in Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
for
she's
two-
already packing her bags.
Well,
yeah,
again-
she's ready to
again,
move because these
you
prices
have-
are really good.
Yeah, but you have to look at what part of Pittsburgh this house in. Maybe it's $225,000 for a reason. Now, if you venture off into the suburbs, that same house will probably cost you twice as much.
Okay, that was Chip Lupo of Wallet Hub, and he was referring to a conversation that I'd had with producer Caitlin when she joined me in the 9 o'clock hour for this analysis. Is I asked her, like, look at the top 3 cities or the top 4 cities and see what a first-time home buyer would be looking at in terms of pricing, because she's wanting to be a first-time home buyer, and the affordability. And frankly, it was Flint, Detroit, Pittsburgh, and of all places, not too far from my hometown of Phoenix, Surprise, Arizona, round out the top 4. And then if you want to go top 5, let's talk about Akron, Ohio. So Caitlin was looking at homes, and quite frankly, I mean, it's a lot more affordable in these places. And in Pittsburgh alone, the home value, according to Zillow, right now is $240,000. That's the average home value. That's not the median sale price. That's the average home value. But that just gives you an idea of where we stand compared to other places around the nation. We're nowhere near what Flint, Michigan is. But you want to hear something that strikes me as, I guess, curious, maybe a little bit financially scary, is when I moved here in 1990, I rented for the first few years. And in the back of my brain, as a 23 and 24-year-old, was like, if I'm going to stay in TV news in Salt Lake City, I got to think about buying a place instead of renting. Because I looked at, at least at the time, I looked at, renting is just like throwing money away. But, I mean, I was renting places for $350 or $400 a month, so come on. It gave me the flexibility that I needed. If they raised the rent, I, quite frankly, just packed up and moved to another part of town. I just go where the rent is the cheapest. But back in the day when I started looking at homes and toying with the idea of buying a house here in the Salt Lake City area, I am not kidding you. When I say I looked at a home in Sandy, it was a new build. It was way more home than I would ever need as a single 24-year-old. I think it had a 2-car garage. It was $55,000, $60,000 where these homes were going for. And I remember thinking at the time, there was a new development in Midvale. If you live in Midvale, it's right off Fort Union, 7200 South and 7th East. They're kind of the salmon-y color homes there on the west side of the road there on 7th East, north of Fort Union Boulevard. Okay, you know where I'm talking about? Exactly. I looked at homes there, and I loved those homes. And you know what I thought? They want $63,000 for those homes. What are they thinking? They'll never get that. I haven't even bothered to look at how much those homes are selling for, because I would probably be so disappointed in my younger self for what my thoughts were back then. But Flint, Michigan, I think brings up a point that I think about a lot, and that is, where would I be willing to live? Or where would I be willing to suggest my kids live if they wanted to get into their first home? Okay. Is it Flint, Michigan? I don't know. A lot of you texted earlier in the show and you were like, look, they've had all kinds of problems with water. And I know that, but that's not diving into an investigative piece here on what the water issues are in Flint, Michigan, and whether they've been ironed out. What we're looking at is just, where does your mind go when you talk about affordable housing, and where our kids can buy a home and not be house broke, not house poor, but literally house broke, if they could even qualify for some of these places along the Wasatch Front. Is it Surprise, Arizona? I mean, it's 30 minutes outside of Phoenix. Okay, it's hot there. I was surprised to find out the average home value in Surprise is $435,000. I thought that was a little high to be toward the top of the list, But Wallet Hub explained, and you can go back and listen to the entire episode, like how they factored in these prices. But $435K is the home value. I mean, maybe you can get into something for under $400,000. It's hard to get into something, in Utah, particularly in Salt Lake City, for under $400,000. Memphis, Tennessee, it's number 7 on the list. I don't know. I like country music. That sounded pretty good to me. So, it's much more affordable in Memphis than it is here in Utah. Augusta, Georgia. I don't know about Fort Wayne, Indiana. They're number 9 on the list. Haven't been. Indianapolis, I hear it's a cool city. That's way more affordable, according to Wallet Hub, than it is to buy a home in Utah. North Las Vegas, Nevada. I think people have some mixed emotions about the idea of living near Las Vegas or near the Las Vegas Strip. There's a lot of people who, live in Vegas and never bother going to the Strip. They don't even go and drive in that direction. Cleveland, Ohio is number 12. But what are you willing to do, or what are you willing to tell your kids for advice? Is it, nope, stay put, see what you can do in terms of rent, and see if you can get into that $500,000, $600,000 home somewhere in Salt Lake City eventually? I don't know. It seems like they're chasing ropes of sand at some point. But that's where my mind goes when I look at this list. Where in the world, specifically in the United States, would work for me if I decided, $500,000+ to get into a home just ain't in the budget.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. CMIT Solutions is an award-winning managed service provider offering fast, dependable IT and help desk support. They provide flexible coverage tailored to the level of support your business needs. Co-owner and general manager Stephanie Asico joins us with more.
At CMIT Solutions of Sandy, we're all about keeping your business running smoothly and securely without the stress of managing IT on your own. We offer 24/7 monitoring, a super responsive help desk, and proactive maintenance to prevent problems before they happen. Need better collaboration? Our cloud solutions have you covered with secure storage and easy access to your files and apps. Cybersecurity is a big deal, and we take it seriously. From stopping ransomware and phishing attempts to helping you stay compliant with HIPAA, GDPR, and other regulations, we've got your back. And if disaster strikes, we'll help you bounce back fast with reliable data backup and recovery. We'll help you plan ahead with smart IT strategies aligned to your goals. Whether you're in healthcare, law, finance, or retail, we tailor support to fit your world. And with local help backed by a national network, we're always nearby when you need us.
If you're looking for trusted IT support that grows with your business, CMIT Solutions has you covered. With local service and nationwide strength, they make tech simple. Learn more at cmitsolutions.com. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
For nearly 70 years, Les Olson IT has been the trusted name for businesses. From state-of-the-art printers and copiers to managed IT services, we have the solutions you need to stay ahead in today's world. And now Les Olson IT is trusted and licensed in Utah for security systems, for technology that helps you work smarter. Les Olson IT, providing solutions that empower your business.
Les Olson IT.
Any Hour Services can help unclog any drain in your house. Whether you have a backup, a clog, or a slow drain you want fixed, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
David Dujanovic.
So I really want to have a heart-to-heart discussion with the men who listen about checkups for prostate cancer. And the reason this comes to mind, of course, is because former President Joe Biden was diagnosed, we found out, this weekend with an aggressive form of prostate cancer that's spread to his bones. Well, additionally, as we began to cover this story and look into the Utah perspective on this, KSL.com reports that Utah ranks 4th in the United States for prostate cancer death rates. 4th in the United States. this is not only a discussion for the men who listen to the show and the men in my life whom I love, but this is also a discussion for anybody who has, somebody in their life who's a man who's not getting these checkups done. Because this is, my understanding, can be a slow growing form of cancer that, if caught early, treatment can be very, very effective for. And of course, that's what we hope. The treatment leads to some good results for the former president, whatever treatment they decide to go with. But for those of you who haven't been tested, you don't even know you have it, let alone what your options are. So Dr. Gordon Harkness of Optum Utah is a medical director there. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining this conversation this morning, Doctor.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I do worry about the men in my life, the men I've known. I mean, they're tough as nails, right? So they don't always want to go in and get checked for the potential to, have these, a variety of diseases. But when I read that Utah ranks 4th in the U.S. for prostate cancer death rates, I think we have to talk about this. We have to have an open conversation about it. So walk us through why you think that is.
Well, I think you highlighted it a little bit there. A lot of men don't necessarily like to go in and see the doctor unless something's wrong. And sometimes, when we go to the doctor for screening tests, we're going there specifically to try to detect things at an earlier stage when there aren't symptoms and when it also is easier to treat. And so, I think a lot of men put their health care off a little bit and don't get the recommended screenings that should be done, whether it's for prostate cancer or for other things.
Can you just give us an idea of prostate cancer, and if caught early, what the odds are of survival and those types of numbers, Doctor?
Yeah, I mean, the earlier you catch any cancer, the survival odds are better. And for prostate cancer in particular, for the vast majority of men, it is a slow-growing cancer. And for many men, they might have prostate cancer, and it can not have any negative impact on their life. Now, there are times when that cancer can be more aggressive and can spread and can cause a lot of problems. But for many, it's not a fast-growing cancer. It's one that can be easily treated if detected. There's different treatment types that are available, and it kind of depends on the situation of the individual, which types of treatments are recommended. In fact, in some cases, men who we know have prostate cancer, the recommendation is just to sit back and watch and just see what's going to happen, because it tends to be, for many, a slow-growing cancer. And if it's not causing any symptoms, any problems, that sometimes is the right answer. At other times, there are hormone treatments that can be given that can be helpful. There are surgical treatments. One of the issues that does come up is that sometimes these treatments do lead to side effects or adverse effects. Quality of life can be affected. So, after surgical treatment for prostate cancer, some men might experience erectile dysfunction or urinary incontinence. And so those potential downsides of treatment have to be weighed against the positive upsides of treatment. But again, the vast majority of men can do very well, especially when this is caught early.
Dr. Gordon Harkness is on the line with me right now. He's with Optum Utah. He's the medical director there. We're talking about prostate cancer and screenings after reading this headline that Utah ranks 4th in the United States for prostate cancer death rates. And, of course, on the heels of what we learned over the weekend, that former President Joe Biden has been diagnosed with what they call an aggressive form of prostate cancer that has spread to his bones. Can you give us an idea of what screening looks like? And then I've heard that men over 70 often don't get screened. I want you to address that and walk us through that, Doctor.
Yeah. Well, again, the purpose for screening is to try to catch something early. And what they found so when you look at men between about the age of 50 and 70 who have no symptoms of potential prostate cancer, and you're looking at screening them, what they find is that if you screen them with a PSA blood test, that there is a positive effect from that screening, meaning that there's a slight decrease in the number of deaths caused by prostate cancer. But then you have to weigh that against some of the downsides of treatment. And because of that, the current consensus on whether men should be screened or not, or the current screening guidelines, is that physicians like myself should have a conversation with men about the pros and cons of screening and what that might look like if you screen positive, and then let the individuals choose for themselves whether they want to be tested. Now, once you get to age 70, if you make it to that stage and you have no symptoms of prostate cancer or things that might relate to prostate cancer, what they found is that the screening doesn't seem to change the longevity of someone's life or the problems that they might experience if they do have prostate cancer. So the actual current recommendations right now after age 70 for those that have no symptoms is to not screen with a PSA blood test. Now, all of that changes when you have symptoms. And when we're talking about symptoms for prostate cancer, we're talking about things like pain with urination or burning with urination, blood seen in the urine, difficulties emptying your bladder, having to get up frequently at night to go to the bathroom. And having these symptoms does not necessarily mean that you have prostate cancer, but it is a sign that you should get things checked out. So we kind of have to separate out, the screening for people that are asymptomatic versus what should be done if somebody has symptoms that might suggest prostate cancer, and getting that checked up on and evaluated.
So the best course of action is check with your doctor and have that good conversation with him or her about next steps.
Exactly.
All right. Dr. Gordon Harkness with Optum Utah. He's the medical director there, talking about prostate cancer screenings after we learned that former President Joe Biden is diagnosed with prostate cancer. He went in for some testing last week. Then we learned over the weekend that he was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and unfortunately, it is an aggressive form of prostate cancer, and they've already seen that it is spread to his bones. And last word, unless something's developed in the last few hours, it looked like the cancer, at least as of yesterday, appeared to be hormone sensitive, which they felt would allow for some effective management of the disease. But we'll continue to track that story as it develops, and of course, wish the former president the best in this situation. Straight ahead, Maria and our team of reporters and producers tracking a developing story developed during the show. 4 Roy police officers placed on administrative leave following allegations of a sexual assault. Midday with Maria Chaleos starts in just a few minutes, and Maria will take you through 3 o'clock. And then, of course, after that, it's Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News.
Many people worry they're not making the right investment choices inside their 401ks. Did you know that you might have a little-known opportunity to add some additional investment choices to your 401k and get the help and recommendations you've been looking for? This exciting feature is called a self-directed brokerage window. And the best part? The money still stays within your 401k. Learn how the trusted advisors at Capital Wealth may be able to expand your investment portfolio. To learn more, call or text the word VISIT to 801-877-9800 or go to CapitalWealth401k.com. Improving your 401k might mean the difference of retiring a few years earlier. Let's find out. Schedule your no-cost 15-minute consultation with the Capital Wealth team today. Call or text the word VISIT to 801-877-9800 or go to CapitalWealth401k.com. Advisory services offered through Capital Wealth Advisors LLC, a state of Utah registered investment advisor.
With next-level tech and safety features, Hyundai cars and SUVs give you the confidence to boldly journey wherever life takes you. Advantages include our available class-exclusive digital key and available remote start parking assist. And because we want the road ahead to be as worry-free as possible, every Hyundai also comes complete with America's Best Warranty, a 10-year or 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. It's time you took a test drive of your favorite Hyundai today, only at your Utah Hyundai dealers.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't.